the witness be brought in, please? Good afternoon, Madam Witness. Welcome back from the break. We shall now move on to talk about your journey with Article 19. Can you tell this commission when you joined Article 19?
I joined Article 19 in 2002.
Manko joined the Article 19 at 2002.
Can you tell the Commission what Article 19 is about?
Article 19.
Article 19 is a human rights organization. Focusing on freedom of expression and access to information. The organization takes its name from Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Article 19 di nangoto ci buñ sétalonté ci wali Geneva.
It was set up in the United Kingdom.
Ñu commencé won ko na ci United Kingdom di réewi Angleterre.
It has its first office in South Africa, precisely Johannesburg.
Njël ben nak ci South Africa ñu gëna léral dal di Johannesburg di capitale.
As we speak today, the organization has different regional offices.
Ci jamono ji ñuy wax ni nak buntu liggéeykaay boobu amna ay office yu bari ci tundu yi.
3 of them on the continent.
ñett nak nekk ci diwaani Afrika.
One in Senegal for West Africa.
benn ba nak mu nga ci réewi Sénégal ci diwaani Afrique sowu jant.
Which I headed.
nga xam ne ni maa ko jiite.
One in Kenya for East and Horn of Africa.
benn nag ci Kenya di Béjini Afrika.
And one in Tunisia for the Nima region.
benn nag ci Tunisia ci réewi naar yi.
Continue to tell this commission about your experience with Article 19. When I joined Article 19 in 2002,
Article 19 in 2002,
we started a process of helping I found a process of working with the African Commission.
African Commission
to elaborate a declaration of principle.
Madam Witness, is that the African Commission on Human and People's Rights based here in the Gambia?
Yes. Yes. And the process was really to try and expand Article 9 of the Charter.
Article 9
The African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Because at that time, many governments they used to look at or invoke the clawback clause in Article 9.
Article 9.
To say that they can legislate, they can restrict expression. Within their national laws. And that interpretation, if you look at it, defeat the whole spirit and the letter of the African Charter, which was to protect and promote human rights, and on this particular article to promote expression.
African there
were a lot of cases, especially in dictatorships,
am na yenn case yu bari surtout na ci nguur ak jaay doole.
Particularly from Nigeria.
Rawatina nag ca réewi Nigeria.
It was also the case Sadauda Jawara against the Gambia.
Bokk na ci demen Sadauda Jawara ci kaw Gambia.
Where the commission attempted really to clarify the meaning of Article 9.
Foo xam ne nag dal di dañ fa amoon nag ngir leeral li nga xam ne mu ngi dëppoo ak Article 9.
But the tension was quite there that countries will always push and legislate, you know, in violation of their obligations.
Te xawa mu ngi aju rek ci jamono bi boo xam ne ni nguur réew yi dañuy puus nag ci li nga xam ne ni mu ngi aju ci yelleef yi nga xam ne ni xëtt nañ ko ci.
So that was the context for the commission to look at how to elaborate further so that at least it will expand the scope, but also clarify the meaning of Article 9.
Lii nag nekkoon na li nga xam ne moo nekkoon ba pour lu ñuy gestu di ci penc moomu ngir gën a seet ni ñuy yaatale ak itamit li nga xam ne mooy taxawaay Article 9.
As an organization whose expertise is on freedom of expression, so the commission, through a resolution, agreed for Article 19 to provide technical assistance.
Pour nag li nga xam ne mooy commission bi seen jiw bopp mooy jëm nag ci Article 19 pour ñu yaatal ay ndimbal.
So when I was hired, naturally, because I've started working on the commission through the institute.
Jamono bi nga xamee nag jël nañ ma comme nag nga xam ne maa ngi doon liggéey ci buntu boobu.
I was quite knowledgeable about how the commission worked, but I was also, I was very connected to the commissioners.
Joko na connect commission boobu ak itamit nag amoon naa itamit xam-xam ci anam gi nga xam ne noonu la ñooy doxe.
So naturally, I was assigned that program.
Ci kaw loolu nag daal di woon nañu ma dénku liggéey li nga xam ne mu ngi jëm ci wàllu programme boobu.
So for many years, we worked with different stakeholders across the continent.
Jamono boobu nag dañ daan jàppalanteeg ñeneen ñi nga xam ñu bari ñoo xam ne dugal nañ ci seen loxo ci diwaani Afrika.
Consolidate the draft.
Pour nag wiral nag li nga xam ne ni loolu la ñu ci bind di draft bi.
And ultimately, we got it adopted in 2002 October here in the Gambia.
Mu jéegi nag ñu daldi ci yaxantu na fii ci réewi Gambia ci atum ci weeri October.
After that, stakeholders from the continent.
Gannaaw loolu ñi ci dugal seen loxo nag ci diwaani Afrika.
All saw the need for the Commission to set up a mechanism that will oversee the implementation of the declaration.
ñu gis nag aajo bi nga xam ne nii commission war nañoo taxawal nag buntu boo xam ne nii tamit danañ gis ñu gën a wiral nag li nga xam ne nii moom lañ ci namoon ci wàlli déclaration boobu.
Then we started to work towards looking at the setting up of the special rapporteur mechanism.
ci lañ jël nag special rapporteur ci saawa soo xam ne nii jël nañ ko ci pour mu doxal ko.
Then they set up a focal point to work with us on the modalities for setting up the special rapporteur.
ci kaw loolu nag ci lañu del di am nag koo xam ne ni dana mën a doxal nag loolu.
And later on in 2005, the special rapporteur's office was set up.
ci atum 2005 nag special rapporteur office bi ci lañ ko taxawal.
Prior to that, when the declaration was adopted,
lu jiitu loolu jamono bi nga xamee nag daldi woon nañu taxawal na déclaration boobu.
With the commission, we agreed that we needed to sensitize state parties.
ci loolu nag ñu daldi xalaat ne daal danañ mën a taxawal ay state parties.
So a series of workshops, seminars were conducted in the different countries.
ay penc yu bari yoo xam ne na oote woon nañ ko fii ci biir réew mi.
And the first one was held here in the Gambia.
bu njëkk nag ñu ngi ko defoon fii ci réewi Gambia.
And we worked with the commissioner, who was a Gambian, then Mrs. Jagne Senghore.
tey tamit commissioner bi nag doomi Gambian la Mrs. Jagne Senghore.
To try really and get some interest at the AG's chamber to see if they can use the declaration to improve the national laws.
tey tamit nag daal di jokkoo AG's chamber pour gis ne daal danañ mën a jëfoo déclaration boobu pour digalal yenn loi.
Madam Witness, is it correct that this said Jagne Senghore is now currently the vice chairperson of the Human Rights Commission?
That's correct.
Jagne Senghore mi nga wax nonu legi moy vice chairperson ci Human Rights Commission bi.
That's correct.
moom la.
Can you tell this commission what the environment was like at that time when you tried to introduced the work of Article 19 into the Gambia?
Nadi ñu mëna wax nak jamono joju naka la réew mi meloon jamono bi nga bëggé dugal nak mbiri liggéey Article 19 fi ci biir réewi Gambia.
Okay, there were two dimensions. There were the continental part.
Amoon na ñaari fànn benn bi jóge ko ci diwaani Africa.
And then the national focus.
Ak benn bi nga xam ne ni nag mu ngi jëmal bopp rek fii ci réew mi.
For the continental part, we were helping the commission.
Ci wàll bi nga xam ne moo jóge ko ci diwaani Africa ñu ngi doon jàppale commission bi.
Through financing, but also expertise.
Pour nag ci wàlli dépasse ak itamit xel.
To work with the national governments.
Pour liggéey ak nguur yi.
So for the other part, which was our really core work, in 1998, or before I joined, even Article 19.
Ci atum 1998 balaa maa ànd ak Article 19 sax de.
A report which was called Unfinished Business.
Bataaxel boo xam ne nag report bu ñu xamee Unfinished Business ne lu ñu àggaleegut.
Was written.
Daldi woon nañu ko bind.
By staff from Article 19.
Di koo xam ne mu ngi liggéey ci Article 19.
I remember when they came to the Gambia, I was at the institute then. We met them to give them some briefings and to assist on some of the information.
maa ngi fàttaliku jamono bi nga xam ne ñëw nañ boobu maa ngi ci buntu liggéeykaay boobu te tamit daldi woon nañ leen jox ay ndimbal.
In fact, that report looked at after they closed down arbitrarily Citizen FM.
Gannaaw bi nga xam ne tëj nañ nag Citizen FM ci anam goo xam ne dëppoowut ak yoon.
The continued violations that were existent. So Citizen FM was a major case, one of the first cases where government decided arbitrarily just to close down a media house without any process, without taking the decision to the court. It was an arbitrary decision.
Tëj Citizen FM nag mooy njëlbéen yoon bi nga xam ne ni nguur gi jël na ay jéego yoo xam ne dëppoowut ak yoon pour tëj bunte tasekaay xibaar te jaaruñ ci yoon yi nga xam ne ni moom lañ war a jaar.
And that report really talked about the case and the subsequent violations of free expression in the country.
Tey tamit nag loolu dal di wax nag li nga xam ne mu ngi jëm ci wàllu woowu.
That was 1998.
Loolu na ci atum 1998 la.
In 1999.
Ci atum 1999.
Government introduced a draft on to set up a media commission.
Nguur gi dal di indi benn loi boo xam ne danañ ci samp nag. Penc muy bàyyi xel lu jëm ci wàlli tasam xibaar.
But the law in fact was to restrict really the operations of the journalists.
waaye loi bi nag moo nekkoon nag pour dal di gund xatal nag lii taxawaay woy taskati xibaar yi.
To ensure that they register through a body that was not independent.
Pour gis ne daal binduñ ci buntu boo xam ne ni daal dëppwut ak taxawutalul boppam.
And provided for many sanctions that were really exorbitant for media practitioners.
Ak yeneen yi nga xam ne ni ay sanctions yoo xam ne ni jël nañ ko.
So Article 19 published a memorandum to the government.
Ci kaw loolu nag Article 19 dal di àggale nag benn nangatoo memorandum ci nguur gi.
So when I joined, those two files were on my desk.
Bi ma duggee nag ñaari file yooyu yëpp ñu ngi ko tëral ci suma table bi.
And then the Gambia Press Union.
Tamit Gambia Press Union di mbootaay woy taskati xibaar yi ci réew mi.
Started really to agitate to take the National Media Commission bill to the Supreme Court.
Pour jël nag loi bi nga xam ne moom lañ teg ci wàllu tasam xibaar yóbbu ko na ci Supreme Court bi.
So
can you tell this commission whether they succeeded to take the bill to the Supreme Court?
Yes.
Commission bill bi ci Supreme Court bi.
Yes, in fact, they took the bill. First, they managed to get a lot of support, international support from the different free expression organizations. And then later on, the matter was taken to court. And the government withdrew the bill. But whilst that process was happening, a tragic situation happened at the same time. Because the senior journalists in this country
senior journalists took
the matter. I would like to cite those
you may
applicants.
Go ahead.
It was Deda Haidara, Demba Jawo, Alaji Yoro, Swaibu Konate. So the lawyer, Mrs. Halsey Sabali, took the matter to the Supreme Court, so Article 19.
Lawyer Awasise Sabali, Article 19.
Justice Initiative, we did the research and we also help with an amicus brief. And whilst also that court matter was, moving, we got a resolution from IFX, which is a network of more than 150 organizations working on press freedom. Demba Jawo, and who was the president of the GPU at that time, and Mr. Pandey Rimbai, who was the Secretary General, they came to Dakar at the IFX conference. So we moved the motion, and IFX supported through a resolution to indicate that the National Media Commission bill also was in contravention with international standards. So that pressure, international pressure, plus what we were doing in the country, I think pushed the government to withdraw the bill.
Manam lolu dal mo taxone nak nguur gi dal di génné loi bobu moy liñ déggé ci biti ak li nga xamné moy suñ doxalin ci biir réew mi.
In December 16 we know Deda Haidara was killed.
Ci wéri December 2016 ci lañu ray Deda Haidara.
Whilst the whole country was in very difficult situation, everybody was focusing on the killing and also the injury of the assistants who were later taken to Senegal to extract the bullets.
Ci ak tamit nak jamono bobu ñuy gestu kan moko ray ak ki nga xamné ko la naton momi tamit ñu dal di ko yobbu Sénégal momi ci gañ yu metti yo xamné amon nañ ko pour génné bali ci mom.
Sneak some amendments.
Dugal nak ay yenn roxandi yo xamné amna ci loi bi.
And I think one of them was the amendment to the criminal code.
Bokk na ci benn ci ñoom mooy li nga xam ne noonu la ñu defee ay suppali ci criminal code bi.
Which widens, in fact, the definition of libel.
Loo xam ne nag gën naa yaatal li nga xam ne ni mu ngi jëm ci libel.
Expands the sanctions in case of libel and defamation.
Ci wàlli loo xam ne ni wax nga ko te nekkul dëgg wala teg ay tuuma ci kaw nit.
And also they introduced the amendment to the Newspaper Act.
Indi waate men yenn soppale ci wàlli loi bi nga xam ne moom lañ teg ci wàlli buntu kayiti xibaar yi.
Madam Witness, when you say they, I presume you're referring to the government.
Oh, yeah, the Attorney Generals.
So na ñoom foog naa yaa ngi jublu ci nguur gi.
And they tried to implement new laws that would restrict the freedom of expression.
Te ñu doon jéema dugal nak ay loi yu bees yoo xam ne dafa tere nit ki mun a joxe kàddoom ci coobare boppam.
You see, in the National Media Commission bill, there were a lot of very draconian provisions, such as the registration, the duration of the license, and also a lot of sanctions. So when that bill was withdrawn after the Supreme Court case, they quickly amend 2 existing laws to tighten the space and ensure that what they couldn't get through the national media law, they bring those back in the form of amendment.
And like you said earlier, this is where they now try to introduce registration, etc.
Comme kaning ko waxe nak ci lañ commencé nak pour dugal mbiri bindu yi ak yeneen ak yeneen.
They existed already, but what they did was they increased the bond. For example, for newspapers, they increase significantly the bond for anyone to establish a newspaper. They increase also the sanctions for defamation.
Alal di nga xamne ni mom ngay tek bu fekkee ne yaa ngi bëgg a indi nag kayiti xibaar li nga xam ne moom nga war a fay.
So in a nutshell, we've seen that between those periods, there were lots of legislations passed to tighten the space and muzzle expression.
Ci gàttal daal ci jamono jooju gis nañ ay loi yu bari yoo xam ne nii dal dina nañ ko àggale.
Did the government use these laws to punish journalists?
Nguur gi nag ndax jëfewoon nañ loi yooyu nag pour toroxal taskati xibaar yi.
Yeah, definitely. I think the media has been one of the casualty of the oppressive regime. You've seen so many journalists have been persecuted.
Waaw ndax nguur gi daal kii woy taskati xibaar yi daal ñoom ñoo ñi sonnoon ci jamono gis nañ ay woy taskati xibaar yu bari yoo xam ne nii not nañ leen sonal leen.
Either through through defamation.
Jaarale ko nag xëy na ci loi boo xam ne nii wax loo xam ne nii dafa yàq deri nit.
But I think the provision that were mostly used treason, sedition, but also publication of false information.
Fànn bi nga xam moom laa nga gën a jëfoo mooy fànn suufu nguur ak itamit di suux loo xam ne dana indi fitna ak wax loo xam ne nii amut.
Therefore, a lot of journalists were also arrested.
Ci kaw loolu nag am na taskati xibaar yu bari yoo xam ne jàppoon nañ leen.
Yeah, they've been quite a lot of arrests at different stages. For example, after the aborted coup in 2006.
Waaw am na jàpp yu bari yoo xam ne am na ci surtout nag ci jamono bi nga xamee ni coup bi amoon atum 2006 te antuutoon.
They've arrested journalists such as Madi Cissé, Lamin Fati, and after that they continue to frustrate through court cases many journalists.
Jàpp na ñu bari ñu mel ni ki ñoom Madi Cissé yin.
Even though some of the journalists were not in prison, but they will accuse them and continue to, take them to court on regular basis in order to frustrate. So we had a lot of cases of abuse of also court proceedings, where journalists will be taken to court on regular basis, where also journalists will be asked to report to police without any reason.
Am na ji tamit nag naam am na ñu tëju waaye am na taskati xibaar yoo xam ne dañuy yóbbu court dem ak ñëw pour dindi seen xel rek ak ñoo xam ne dañ laa yóbbu police ñuy dem di report police di ñëw.
And I must say that at the heart of that repressive system, the NIA was really the institution that really frustrated journalists.
Tey tamit nag ci jamono métital yooyu noonu yëpp NIA gi tamit nekk nañ ñoo xam ne nii ñoo gënoon a sonal nag way taskati xibaar yi.
Can you tell the Commission how they caused this frustration, the NIA? How did they cause the frustration?
NIA yooyu ndax di nga mun a wax ñoom naka lañ indi jaxaso boobu ci nit ñi.
Many journalists who were detained by the NIA. Those cases of torture we documented also were from the hands of the NIA.
Am na ñoo xam ne ñu bari nag toog nañ leen te yooyu yëpp ñu ngi ñëwee ci loxoy NIA yi.
There were also a lot of the report back and forward, not at the police per se, but also at the NIA.
Am tamit nag foo yoo xam ne dama ko ñëw nekkul nag sax di NIA comme ni ñu ko waxee rek waaye léeg-léeg ci police yi.
We've also documented that most of the arbitrary closure of media outlets were also done by the NIA.
Yenn buntu yi tamit dal di woon nañu ko wëlbati tamit di NIA.
So you're telling this commission that the NIA was the institution that was used by government to silence journalists. Try to silence journalists.
NIA mooy jumtuwaay bi nga xam ne bunta la bu nguur gi daan jëfu pour dal di noppiloo ñi nga xam ne ñooy wet taskati xibaar yi.
Indeed, yeah.
Wow.
With your work under Article 19, you all also published a lot of articles.
Ci liggéey bi nga xam ne yaa ngi ko doon def ak liggéeykaay boobu ñuy wax Article 19 am na nag ay xibaar yu bari yoo xam ne tamit siiwal nga ko.
You provided a few for the commission.
Am na yenn nag yoo jox commission bi.
We may go through some of them.
Waa ñu seet yenn ci yooyu.
In the year of 2004,
atum 2004,
you wrote a letter to the president then.
Bind nga letter president ba woon.
Can you tell the Commission about the said letter?
Yeah, in 2004, as we already mentioned, the reforms in the different legislations, plus also the killing of Dada Haidara.
Si 2004, ci li nga xamné ni moy loi yi ñu wëlbati ak itamit di rey ak Dada Haidara.
So we wrote to the president to request that an investigation be done.
Ñu bind nak ci président bi pour nak gestu yoy ñu war koy def.
Also to look at reviewing some of those laws that are not in line with Gambia's obligations.
Ak itamit nak di sétlu loi yi nga xamné ni daal bokkuñ ci li nga xamné ni yello na koy di saxon na koy itamit di Gambia.
That was the essence of that letter.
Loolu moo nekkoon njëriñi letter boobu.
With the permission of the chair, I will hand over the letters to the commissioners later. They're just being printed.
Ci ndigali chairman bi nag dana dal di jël nag letter boobu jox ko nag ñi nga xam ne ñooy commissioners yi.
As the witness has stated, this letter was addressed to the president then to bring his attention.
Comme ni nga xam ne noonu la ko seede bi waxee letter bi dañ ko bindoon président ba woon pour xamal ko
that the amendment to the criminal code was excessive.
Ne li nga xam ne mooy soppali yiñ def ci fànn boobu nga xam ne moo aju ci wàlli tafaar gi dafa jéggi dayo.
And in effect was going to make it impossible for a lot of journalists to exercise their freedom of expression.
Ngir loolu sax dina tax nag ba dina jafe lool pour taskati xibaar yi mun a feeñal seeni kàddu.
I will tender it later in the proceedings.
Dinaa ko joxe ci kanam tuuti.
Madam Witness, if we may move to the next article, which was about harassment of Gambian journalists, particularly Abdoulaye John.
On the case of Abdoulaye John, he was harassed for many months. Over a coverage that he was doing. He was working for an international. He's like the local reporter to AP. AP. Associated Press.
Associated Press la.
And I think he was covering the release of some rebel.
Yaakaar naa mu ngi doon wax nag li nga xam ne ni mu ngi doon bind lu jëm ci wàlli bàyyi yenn rebel yi.
I think from there was some incident.
Yaakaar naa ci foofu na am na yenn xew-xew.
And since then he was harassed by the NIA, his passport confiscated, and he would be asked to report almost every 2 days.
boobu nag boobu daal mu ngi am ay yenn toxal jóge ko ci NIA te passeport am bi ñu nangu ko léegi mu war a ñëw report si.
And he was under surveillance, constant surveillance.
te tamit nag ñu ngi koy bàyyi xel fu mu munti dem rek ñu ngi koy teg bët.
So that really at the end was unbearable.
ci loolu nag ci mujjantal gi daal mënatuñ koo muñ.
With the support of some institutions.
ci ndimbali yenn buntu liggéeykaay yi.
We were able to work together for him to be relocated to Senegal.
ñu ngi doon fexe rek pour daal mu dal di toxu ca réewi Sénégal.
And we wrote to the authorities to give him back his passport.
ñu bind nag ci authorities yi pour ñu delloo ko nag passeport am.
And that didn't happen until the change when he came back home.
lii nag mu noonu la amee ba ci waxtu wi nga xam ne amul ba waxtu wi nga xam ne nii wecceeku nguur am na mu dal di ñibbisi.
Madam Witness, apart from articles that referred only to journalists, there were many other articles that were written by Article 19 on human rights.
Ute nak ak yi nga xamne mom lañ binda mu jëm ci wàlli taskati xibaar amna yeneen yu ci bari yoo xam ne Article 19 binda nañ ko ci wàlli yelleefi doomu aadama.
And there were several times that you would bring it to the attention of the government.
Te saa yu nekk nag ay yoon di ngay fexe xamal ko nguur gi.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you refer to some of those articles for the Commission?
Dañu mëna waxal ci yenn ci yooyu pour Commission bi xam.
I think we can maybe put them in different categories. there were legal analysis of the different legislations that were passed. All the laws that have been passed here, Article 19 will react through a legal analysis.
Article 19
Not only we will publish them, but also we will share our analysis too with government.
There
was another category of intervention which was, I think you mentioned two already, letters to authorities.
And
then public statements and press statements. Most of the public statements were also done during specific period. For example, when a major incident happened, such as the arrest or imprisonment of journalists or anybody when it has to do with your expression. And also for some key dates. Normally every July 22nd.
July 22nd. Yeah.
We used to, with different organizations, have like what generally is like a joint statement to really bring back the attention of the government, but also the international community, their attention on the situation in the Gambia. For Impunity Day,
we
will highlight cases of journalists who've been tortured, who've been the case of Chief Mane. Generally, every 16th of December, also we will have an event.
Chief Mane,
to commemorate the Haidara's killing. So every year you see those statements have been consistently made and press briefings on different occasions. For the 20 years of the Jammeh regime, in fact, for the 10th anniversary of the killing of Deda Haidara, so African journalists and free expression, they worked together, and we had a commemoration in Senegal.
African journalists
And a film was produced which is entitled Silence by the Gun. And for the 20 years of the regime, we did with Amnesty International and RADO.
Amnesty International and RADO.
We published a booklet highlighting 20 prominent cases. And work with different organizations in different countries to write to the EU, to write to the institution, but also to write to the Gambia government to ask for the resolution of those cases, but also for the revision of some of the media laws. And I think at that time, John Mahaman was the chair of ECOWAS.
te yaakaar naa ci jamono boobu John Mahama di président ni Ghana moo nekkoon ci bu ECOWAS.
So we also submitted the information to him and had subsequent meetings with them.
te tamit ci lañ ko àggale nag xibaar boobu te am ay meeting yenn ci ak ñoom.
So,
Madam Witness, it is correct to say that your organization,
ndax mën nañoo wax ne yow sa mbootaay boobu
with other organizations that were human rights defenders,
ak yeneeni mbootaay yi nga xam ne ñoom dañ taxaw pour xeex yelleefi doomu aadama
always try to remind the government
saa yu nekk rek day dañuy fexe pour fàttali nguur gi
of human rights violations that they had implemented.
ne yàq yelleefi doomu aadama yi nga xam ne ñoom def nañ ko.
yes, that's correct.
waaw loolu dëgg la.
And you did that not only by the articles, but also by meetings with certain officials.
te yooyu yëpp yéen a ngi ko def de emalewu leen ko ci mbindami rek de waaye yéen a ngi ciy daje ak ñenn ci ay kilifa.
Officers that held positions that could take decisions on these matters.
de ay kilifa yoo xam ne ñoom amee nañ baati dogal ci mbir yi nii.
That's correct.
Can you tell the Commission about a few of these meetings that you had?
ndax mun ngaa wax commission bi nag yenn ci ndaje yooyu nga xam ne defoon ngeen ko.
Okay. From 2003
atum 2003 be atum 2016
we address our concerns to the different ministers or attorney generals.
wax nañ li nga xam ne mooy soxal ci yeneen ministre ak attorney generals.
In 2013 we met the attorney general then Fatou Jagne Senghore.
ci atum 2013 dal dinañu seq jotaay ak ki nga xam ne moo nekkoon ministre bi saytu wàlli loi bi fii ci réew mi di Fatou Jagne Senghore.
The discussion was around the Media Commission Bill, the National Media Commission Law.
liñ doon waxtaanee rek mu ngi jëm ci wàlli loi bi nga xam ne moom lañ teg ci pencum bunti tasekaay xibaar yi.
And the need to overhaul some of the legislations also to comply with the newly adopted declaration.
tamit nag yenn loi yi nga xam ne moom lañ am nga xam ne ni dañ ko mën a méngale ak lii jëm ci wàlli déclaration boobu.
I remember vividly we had a specific workshop with for journalists here in the Gambia with
maa ngi fàttale ko ne amoon nañ ne jenn jotaay boo xam ne seqoon nañ ko ak buy taskati xibaar yi fii ci réewi Gambia.
We got him to commit to be part and with the African Commission. So it was co-organized by the African Commission, the government, and us. And through that interaction, but it didn't, produce any result.
Gis nañ demee ne daal ñu ko waroon a seq rek mooy African Union ak nguur gi waaye daal mujjee wutoon antu.
After that, there were a lot of other meetings, letters, but another key date also, I think 2009, when the government started, the president started the witch hunt program.
ci jamono bi nga xamee nag président bi mu ngi commencé nag daxam rëbb yi ni 2009.
Madam Witness, you mean the president then, Yaya Jammeh?
Yeah, President Yaya Jammeh. Yeah, and at that time also there were a lot of difficulties with the media. It was a time when they arrested Pape Sen.
boobu nag ñu ngi amoon jafe-jafe ak bunte tasekaay xibaar yi mooy jamono bi ñu jàppee Pape Sen.
I think they arrested also Halifa Sallah, who raised through his media also concerns about the witch hunting.
te jàpp Halifa Sallah yi tamit ci buntu tasekaay xibaaram bi nga xam ne ni nag mu ngi doon wax na lu jëm ci wàlli rëbbam dëmm yi.
Yeah, so we raised the concern during the African Commission session in the Gambia here.
wala nañ nag li nga xam ne mooy soxal ci jamono African Commission seen jotaay fii ci réewi Gambia.
I think the statement is somewhere in the file.
yaakaar naa kay mu ngi fii ci benn ci file yi.
And then the Solicitor General then attended the African Commission meeting.
kii di Solicitor General bi na teewoon ci African Commission meeting boobu.
After the statement, she approached me and we discussed about it.
gannaaw nag jotaay bi mu toog ak man ñu waxtaan ci.
And then she agreed that we meet at the Aegis Chamber.
ci gannaaw loolu nag ci la nangu ne nañ tasee ci Aegis Chamber bi.
Since the issues we were discussing was about the situation of journalists.
li nga xam ne loolu lañ doon waxtaanee mooy nekk ni woy taskati xibaar yi.
And the statement also we issued at the Commission, we did it jointly with the Gambia Press Union.
Te tamen kaddu yi nga xamne mom lañu dañ ko bokkon ak Gambia Press Union.
The President then, Secretary General Ndeye Tafa Sose, and I went to meet her, the Solicitor General. It was Awaba at the time.
Secretary General Ndeye Tafa Sose ak man ñu daldi and ak dem meet Jose Awaba.
Yeah, she was. It was very interesting because she was all with us at the Kairaba for the session, so she left for us to join her in her office. But before we get to her office, she was already sacked.
Jamono bo mom ngi won ci jotaay bala ñu pour ñu mëna tassé mom ci office am way bala ñu ag ci office am fekk dak nañ ko.
But nevertheless she held the meeting and took note.
Way ñu ci mënté xew teew na ci meeting ba nak daldi ci baye xel li nga xamné mom lañ doon wax.
And agreed that she will pass it to the Attorney General.
Tay nangu ne dal dana ko agalé Attorney General bi.
In 2011,
ci atum 2011
we also with the delegation of African journalists.
Ci delegation African journalists di way taskati xibaari Afrika yi.
And the member of our African platform on access to information.
ñi nga xamné ni ñoy suñ member su plateforme bi pour access to information pour ag nak ci ay bataxel.
Yeah, met the former Minister of Justice Edward Gomez.
Daldi fekk jotaay ak ki fi nekkon Minister bu Justice di Edward Gomez.
Yeah, it was you remember the treason case of some GPU member, especially, and also other free expression cases around that time in 2011 after the election.
Tay tamel ak yeneen case yo xamne amna ci atum 2011 gannaaw wote bi.
Another important meeting that was held after the execution of the inmates.
Yeah, ak tamel ay meeting yo xamne xex nañ ko gannaaw rey bi nga xamne reyoon nañ ko ay way denc ci kasso yi. Many
organizations mobilized on the continent.
Yenn meeting yu bari wote nañ ko ci diwani Africa.
And the Minister of Justice, then Lamine Jobate, attended the African Commission in Yamoussoukro, Côte d'Ivoire.
Ki nga xamne mo nekkon ministre bi di Lamine Jobate, ministre bi seytu won wali loi téwon na ci meeting bobu ci Yamoussoukro ci Côte d'Ivoire.
Yeah, after many attempts, he agreed at the end to meet us with our delegation.
At
that time, there were the issue of the arrest of the killing of those inmates, but also they arrested 2 journalists who simply just requested for permit to protest.
Ak yeneen ñaari journalist yoo xam ne nii jàppoon nañ leen ne ñoom liñ doon ut rek mooy pour ñu ñaxtu.
Madam Witness, when you say inmates, you're referring to the 9 inmates that were executed.
Yes.
So waxee ñi nga xam ne ñoom lañ reyoon noonu mooy juróom-ñeneent yi nga xam ne ñu ngi woon ci kaso bi te ñu rey leen.
With your meeting with the then Honorable Lamine Jobate, did you get any outcome or explanation as to the execution of the 9 inmates?
Ndaje moomu nga seexoon na ñoom ak Lamine Jobate ndax mujjee woon nga ci xamee lan moo tax ba ñu rey ñooñu noonu.
He defended the position of the government and the legality of those executions.
Moom nag dafa taxaw woon li nga xam ne nii moo nekk li nguur gi def pour rey ñooñu ak li wéral nag ne ñooñu dañ leen waroon a rey.
And he confirmed that he was not aware of the detention of the journalist.
Waaye nag wax na ne daal yëgut jàpp gi nga xam ne jàpp nañ ko way taskati xibaar yooyu.
And he will find out when he gets back home.
Tey nag dana ko jéem a gestu gannaaw bu mu ñibbisee.
And
did you get any other feedback from him after he returned home?
The journalists were released afterwards.
Journalists yooyu nag mujjee nañ leen bàyyi.
And the last meeting before the end of the regime.
Meeting bu mujj nag balaa njeexal ak nguur googu.
Was in October 2016.
Mooy ci weeru October atum 2016.
With Attorney General Ms. Mama Singate.
Attorney General Ms. Mama Singate.
The meeting was I think it was myself. With her and 2 other colleagues of her. One from Cameroon. One Gambian lawyer who she introduced as one of the new lawyers she was mentoring. So we discussed the situation of human rights in general in the country. But the main focus was on the killing of Solo Sandeng and the imprisonment of opposition leaders.
Solo Sandeng the opposition leaders.
Madam Witness, is it correct to say that this is the time where you had Ousainou Darboe and others arrested and detained? Where there were also women who were arrested and detained?
Yes, that's correct. And if you allow me, I think we dwell quite a lot on that. And we spoke about as women. I think when we discussed the situation, and I think on the political front, the arrest, it was clear that her position was that, this is about national security and a break of the peace and security of the country, so they needed to act.
And
we talk about the harsh nature of the sanctions for peaceful protest, 3 years sentence. We thought it was really, really harsh. And well, the discussion we couldn't agree on anything because I think the political situation then was quite overwhelming for everybody. So she couldn't commit to anything. On the Solo Sandeng case, we spoke about it quite a lot, and I remember vividly she said that it was beyond her. And I remember that conversation. I told her that I think we needed, well, I brought the issue of Solo Sandeng's wife. And I said, well, as you know, Nima is in Senegal, all her family. And she kept asking us if it is true, because she will see online sometimes that the husband is dead, sometimes she doesn't know, and she needs closure. And as a woman, I think you need to clarify and help, get us somewhere. It was a very open and conversation that we had, and she mentioned that the case of Solo Sandeng was really behind her remit. So at the end, we left the discussion and at that level, and then I. Yeah, that's my recollection of that the last meeting we had on the case. Yeah.
Article 19 tried to make the voices of people who couldn't have their voices heard to be heard.
Article 19 de mom mu ngi bëggona nek kàddu yi nga xamné bëggon nañ seen kàddu feñ té mënuñ ko feñal.
And it was done the right way by meeting the ministers of justice.
Té ñu ko doon jaarale ci yoon wi ñu wara jaar dé nit ñu doon jéma dajé ak ministre yi nga xamné ñoo amé won walli atté ak yoon.
Who had the portfolio to ensure that
nga xamné ñoom taxawaayam moy ñu gis né
the human rights of people were respected in this jurisdiction? You moved on to also support victims.
Can
you tell this commission about it?
With the persecution, the harassments, we've noticed over time that Gambians who are leaving the country, and particularly journalists. It was recorded since from 2006 to the end of the regime, about 100 journalists left the country due to fear and persecution. Many security forces also accused of coup, other also left the country. And politicians as well, many former, many senior officials, including ministers, they had to really leave the country at some stage. Our main focus was on journalists and human rights defenders. But also, given the nature of our work and the way we do work, because we are also in different networks, we were able to refer people to other organizations whose mandate, will respond to some of the needs of the people who were not included in our mandate. For example, we were not dealing a lot with the security forces for obvious reasons. Some committed human rights violations and after they became victims. And it was very difficult at some stage also to document and to ascertain, what they've done. And some have violated rights of journalists, those we are defending. But because humanitarian assistance doesn't discriminate, so in some of those cases we will refer them to organizations that could help. Yeah, that's how we, but there were really significant number of Gambians who were in challenging situation in Senegal. They've been running away from their countries, their family, and I think that those years were very stressful for many Gambians.
So you're telling this commission that you did not only support victims, but you all did your best to assist perpetrators who turned into victims.
I
didn't say that exactly. I've said that our mandate was about freedom of expression. But because there were many people from the security forces who were also running away, but we couldn't ascertain a certain number of things. We don't know their backgrounds. But when they come to us, we will, of course, ask questions and tough ones. And obviously, it's not our mandate to work on all the myriad of human rights violations. So what we will do, we will listen to them, take their files, but also refer them to other organizations that could help them. That's what I said.
Thank you for the clarification. But your organization assisted them?
Yeah, at least we guided them because they are refugees when they come to Senegal. If they come to us, we will listen to them, have a case file, do their profile, and if we cannot assist them, we will refer them to other Because most of the people who were coming were really in distress, so we needed to listen to them.
Thank you. So now we move on to the elections of 2016.
Léegi nag ñu jàll ci oote bi nga xam ne moo amoon atum 2016.
Can you tell us your experience of the 2016 elections?
Li ñu mun a wax nag li nga xam ne moom nga yëgoon jamono oote bi amoon 2016.
If I may, before I get to the election, to talk about some of those cases, because of what happened to some of those journalists.
Bala ma ñëw nag ci mbiri oote bi ma wax ci mbiri layoo bi nga xam ne ñu mun a feeñal li daloon ñenn ci ay taskati xibaar.
You may go ahead.
Yeah, because I believe that there are many people who lost their livelihood, who lost their families.
Am na ci ñu ci bari yoo xam ne nag ñàkk nañ seeni bakkan, am ñoo xam ne ñàkk nañ seeni mbokk.
And they went through really traumatic times.
Te am na ay jamono yoo xam ne nag digga seen fit demoon na lool.
And among those journalists, I think there were also some who were detained in areas where that were not official detention centers.
Te ci taskati xibaar yooyu am na béréb yoo xam ne ñu ngi leen fa dem téye leen teg leen fa te du béréb yoo xam ne foofa lañ leen waroon a teg.
And many people escape also because of the help of Gambians, especially people from the diaspora helped quite a lot people to escape the ordeal they were living in.
Am na ñu ci bari nag ñoo xam ne am na ñu leen jàppale ngir ñu mun a rëcc surtout ñi nga xam ne ñooy waa doomi réew mi nekk bitim réew ñu dimbale leen ñu mun a génn ci fitna ak noteel bi nga xam ne ci lañ nekkoon.
Case in point was the case of Alhaji Abdoulaye Cissé, the manager of Teranga FM, who ran away from prison.
Ben bokk na ci Alhaji Abdoulaye Cissé ki nga xam ne moo jiite woon Teranga FM nga xam ne moom dafa dawoon génn réew mi.
He was really maltreated, tortured.
Moom nag dëgga toroxaloon nañ ko bu baax a baax metital.
Many other journalists, but he was detained in isolation in a house for more than 11 days.
Am na ñu ci bari ñoo xam ne nag ñu ngi leen fa téye woon lu weesu fukki fan ak benn.
And at the end he managed through different means to escape from the prison and run away and came to Dakar.
Ca mujjantil ga nag mu fexe rëcc kaso bi dal di daw ñëw Dakar.
From April to November.
Madam Witness, is it correct to say that the said Abdoulaye Cissé was arrested and charged with an offense?
Mun nañu wax ne Abdoulaye Cissé moomu dañ ko jàppoon dal di ko tuumal ne dafa hita sarta loi.
Yeah, he was charged for sedition. He was first arrested, freed, beaten, and then arrested again until he managed to escape.
Dañ ko jàpp dóor ko jàppaat ko ba jamono bi mu rëccee.
When the government learned that he escaped,
ba nguur gi yegee ne rëcc na.
So they send like a wanted kind of announcement all over the here in the Gambia and beyond.
ci la ñu yónnee nag benn bataaxel boo xam ne ni mu ngi wane ne nguur gi dañ ko aajo fii ci réew mi activité.
So for almost from April to November, he couldn't move around in Senegal.
ci diggante weeri April ak ba weeri November mënut a jéem a doxantu sax biir réewi Sénégal.
He was always escorted. We were really in a very distressed situation.
ci jamono boobu nag ñu ci jamono bu métti saay bu ne rek dañ koy jiital.
Well, of course, we were able to get him to stay in Senegal because of the authorities at the highest level agreed that he can stay.
waaye nag fexewoon nañ nag ba mu toog nag ci réewi Sénégal ndax kilifa yi ñoom itamit nangu woon nañ pour mu toog fa.
But it was clear that they didn't want a lot of noise because the nature of the case.
ndax itamit nag mujjee wax nañ la bëgguñ coow lu bari ndek mbir mi ni mu fa tëddee.
So his brother also was persecuted because they believed that he helped him to escape.
rakkam itamit nag wala magam daldi woon nañ ko toroxal ndax foogoon nañ ne daal moom moo ko dimbale ba mu rëcc.
With the help of Sokhna Sala from Duga, so they managed to get him out until when they heard that he's already out of prison and somewhere hiding, so they call us and we met him somewhere in Senegal.
jamono bi ñu xamee ne génn na nag ci kaso te tamit mu ngi nëbbatu na sa Sénégal ci la ñu oo ñu dal di taseeg moom nag ci fenn ci Sénégal.
Before maybe we talk about also the elections, I would like also to talk about the fact that many people who came to Senegal were really in bad shape. People had a lot of medical challenges.
ñu bëri ñi nga xam ñëw nañ Sénégal nag ñu ngi ci ñëw ci anam gu métti ñoo xam ne nii daal am nañ jafe-jafe ci wàllu wér-gu-yaram aajo faj.
After the beatings, the humiliation.
gannaaw nag toroxal boobu ak dóore yi.
And in some cases, the sexual violence.
ak itamit nag ci yenn yi nga xam ne nii mooy fitna yi daanu ci jigéen ci wàllu sëy.
They needed a lot of medical and psychological support.
aajo nañ dimbali pàcc ak itamit kuy wax ku leen a waxal rek pour dalal seen xel.
And one of our partners who's been working to help many Gambians, Caprec.
kenn ci suñ ñenn ci suñuy wóllare Caprec nga xam ne ñu ngi doon wax dox nag pour dalal ay xeli Gambien yu bëri.
Really assisted throughout the Gambians in their center in Thiès.
dimbale nañ na bu baax baax ci seen place bi nekkee ca Thiès Sénégal.
It's the Center for Rehabilitation of Victims of Torture.
nekk na béréb bi nga xam ne nii nag fa la ñooy dalal nag wëlbati xel ñi nga xam ne nii dañ leen toroxal ci ay dóore.
And many Gambians passed through that center, and until today, some are still going to get support.
te tamit nag Gambien yu bëri nag dal dinañu jaar rek foofu noonu te ba tey daal ñu ngi yëngatu na ci programme yooyu.
I want briefly also to talk about a law that was passed also whose effect has been quite dramatic on many people.
ak loi yi nga xam ne ni nag yoo xam ne teg nañ koy tamit seen coono te dal na ci ñenn ñu bëri.
When that revision was done, I think subsequent to that there have been lots of arrests of people accused of being gay and lesbian.
am na tamit nag yenn ñu bëri ñoo xam ne tuumal nañ leen ne ñi ay góor jigéen lañ ak ñeneen ñoo xam ne jigéen ñoo xam ne seen moroomi jigéen lañ aajo.
Many were beaten.
ñu bëri dóor nañ leen.
They were really like a kind of a hunt in the nightclubs in many places, really to target them, and a lot of them run to Senegal.
ñu leen a rëbb ci nightclubs yi ñu bëri tax daal di daw dem Sénégal.
Yeah, I think that also has been quite a dramatic period for many of those individuals.
tey tamit nag lu nekk na nag lu métti ci yenn ñu bëri daal.
Another traumatic moment for Gambians also, and especially those who run after the aborted coup.
gannaaw coup boobu nga xam ne ni antuwutoon.
We've seen hundreds of Gambians, family members mainly.
ñu bëri ay doomi Gambien rawatina njabooti ñi nga xam ne ñoo ci bokk ñu bëri.
Sorry, Madam Witness, can you be specific to the aborted coup you're referring to?
The December 30th.
mooy bi amoon fanweeri fan ci weeri December.
2014.
ci atum 2014.
After that, there have been a lot of witch hunting. Many families were targeted.
ci gannaaw loolu nag am na rëbbante yu bëri yoo xam ne am na fi am na njaboot ñu bëri ñoo xam ne nii dàkk nañ leen di leen rëbba.
And the police were searching people's house and even trying to connect who talked to who. So through the telephones, through family relationship, so many people were targeted.
Police di rëbba ñu bëri di seet kana wax ci ak kana wax dara loolu yëpp pour dàkk ñi.
So and many people left the country. They really ran away for fear for their life, because it was also a very tragic moment, especially when all those bodies were executed, were really exhibited. I think that also sent a big signal of fear, and many
Gambians
were so scared, and the families were really
scared. Loolu nañu bari mooy jamono bi nga xamee ni ñi rey seen ni néew daal di woon nañ ko siiwal loolu daal nekkoon na loo xam ne ni signal na lu tiital ñu bëree bëri.
Some of them came. It was overwhelming for us because we couldn't accommodate them, because of course they were not journalists, they were not human rights defenders, they were just ordinary citizens. But they found themselves in Senegal without any possibility. So the authorities and also the Senegalese Red Cross took the matter and provided some humanitarian assistance and help them to resettle in Senegal. But it was also very difficult for Gambians.
ñenn ci ñoom nag nekku ñoon ay wéy taskati xibaar waaye nag ak nu munti mel dañ toog gis seen bopp Sénégal ci daw gi ñu doon daw mu jégi daal seeni mbir Red Cross bu Sénégal ak ñeneen dal di ci dugal seen loxo.
From your explanation, it seems like you now had a family of Gambians in Senegal.
Ni ko waxee dafa mel ni fi mu nekk nii daal am nañ ay njaboot yu Gambian yoo xam ne ñu nga Sénégal.
Many Gambians decided to stay. A lot of them came back though. Many Gambians also stayed, but they blend in the communities. And during the oppression, also they blend. Most of them wouldn't identify as such.
We now talk about the elections of 2016. Can you tell us the role you played?
Well, I think like many Gambians, we were all concerned. We were all concerned about the state of affairs, the violation of human rights. So there've been consultations throughout. Especially some people, key organizations in the diaspora meeting, talking to the opposition. Really trying to get a democratic agenda on the table. But also getting the opposition to unite, given the fact that most of the senior members of one of the key political parties were in detention. Well, here I think it's a culmination because Gambians, especially in the diaspora and some political parties here, they've been doing a lot, meeting in the US, meeting in different places. So really 2016, with the difficult situation we had with the detention of the executive members of the UDP, but also the fact that a year before, President Jammeh changed the law to ensure that it's only one round. I think compel many people to understand that if the opposition was not united, President Jammeh will stay forever. And the fact that he declared Islamic State, the fact that the oppression was so, rooted, I think people realize that the country, if we don't do much, the country will go really into, people will be in hell and the country will go down. So I think people started really to consider the different options.
Jamono surtout bi ya jam wéccé loi ci mbiri woté gis né témen né dal bu opposition ji nit ñi buñ benn wutoy rek dafa doon gagner togaat moy jamono bi nga xamé né benn woté rek la gannaaw gi témen ki témen ci yeneeni mbir yo xamné ni amna yo xamné dal nit ñi dal ci bayyi seen xel.
So then after Gambians organized with human rights organization in Senegal, I remember in June, there was a first meeting in Dakar, which was organized with support of people like Jagne Johnson, mobilizing the resources, bringing most of the opposition people in Dakar, really to discuss the human rights situation, but also the state of affairs in the country.
Meeting jotaay bu ñëk bo xamné def nañ ko ci Dakar di waxtané témen lu jëm ci wali at
that time, the idea of coalition was really beginning to be agitated. So I think that meeting was quite important.
It
was very interesting because I think for the first time we've seen some human rights organization based in the Gambia Some people from the diaspora, opposition people, they all met in one place really to discuss the future of the country.
Di njël ben yoon bi nga xamé ni ni gis nañ ñi dëkk fi ci réewi Gambie ak ñeneen jóge ko bitim réew ak yeneen mbootaay toog di waxtaanee nag lu jëm ci mbiri jëm kanami Gambia.
The rest continued until October, as we all know. They've agreed to form the coalition.
Mu jéegi yëpp continuer ba weeri octobre nga xam ne ni d'accord nañ ne daal pour ñu am na genn parti manko ñu xamee ko coalition bi.
Because also the space was quite tight, the online media, the Gambian media, especially in the diaspora, play a critical role in mobilizing public opinion, helping Gambians to come together, but also, importantly, pushing Gambians to commit. So I remember when the discussion around the coalition began really to take shape, the diaspora committed to say, well, if you have a unity candidate, the diaspora will contribute. And when they've agreed that they will go on that convention, I was here because I was doing the bit on the African Commission, but also working on all those other issues with the prisoners. Then the diaspora, I think, paid the most significant part of that convention. And I was a living witness because I saw it myself, and the diaspora pay with the convention, the accommodation for those delegates. Some political parties contributed quite, somehow, but I think the diaspora committed that they will pay for the convention. They raised the money through fundraisers in their different radios, and they managed to pull the amount within, I think, few days, and they sent them to, and I was close to some of the coalition members, and they showed me exactly what the diaspora contributed.
ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk ci parti manko boobu di coalition members yi jege woon naa leen ci kaw loolu nag dal dinañ ma feeñalal li nga xam ne nii moom la ñi nekkee bitim réew dal di dajale.
So that convention ended, of course, and the coalition got a unity candidate.
Tey tamit nag loolu mujjee na sotti ñi nga xam ne ni ñooy coalition bi am benn candidate.
So I think Gambians were kind of, at least most Gambians were kind of relief.
Tey loolu na tax na Gambian yu bari daal mujjee gi seen xel dal.
So from different quarters, and then the coalition drew a budget to indicate the amount they need to run a campaign.
génne nag li nga xam ne loolu lañ aajoo ci xaalis pour ñu mun a doxal nag seen campagne.
So they send it to key people in the diaspora for the fundraising.
ñu yónnee ko ci yenn nit ñoo xam ne ñu nga nekkee ca bitim réew pour nag ñu mën a ut nag xaalis.
Within 1 month, I think the budget was, the diaspora was able to put in the budget.
ci diira benn weer yaakaar naa nag ci lañ mën a jot nag li nga xam ne loolu lañ soxla ci alal ci xaalis pour toppatoo seen mooy budget boobu.
Within 1 month.
ci diira benn weer waaw.
Yeah, so of course contributions will always come, I guess, but at least the significant chunk was sent by some of the diaspora.
Dimbal di continuer waaye nag li nga xam ne moo ci gënoon a feeñ daal mooy ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekkee bitim réew.
And very modest people will put in little amount, but that shows that people were so committed to their country.
Ak ñeneen nit ñi sax nga xam ne nit ñi dañ def ay lu néew waaye loolu mooy wane ne daal nit ñi am nañ éena ci mbir moom.
Madam Witness, is it correct to say that this was done because people were looking for change?
seede bi ndax mën naa wax ne loolu dafa antu nit li ko waral mooy nit ñi jamono jooju soppeeku lañ soxla woon wecceeku.
Yes, definitely people wanted change. They were tired and they were very difficult situations. I want to maybe raise one point here, if you allow me. You see, sometimes even within the diaspora, I was very lucky, I must say, that I've never been a victim. I've been, through my work, I was able to come to the Gambia almost quite often. But you will see that many people in the diaspora will not even be able to come and bury their family members, especially their parents. So there was a precedent, a journalist who was very vocal in the diaspora,
ndax amoon na benn journaliste boo xam ne nii nag mu ngi yëngatu fa ci kaw ci tugal.
Came back home for her father's funeral, and she was arrested.
ñëwoon nag ci dëji baayam ñu dal di ko jàpp.
That was really, really mean and atrocious. That's how the regime really targeted people who, not only in the country, but even those who would say something that was those dissidents.
noonu la nguur gi daan tooxee daal même su dee ñi nga xam ne sax lu néew lañ dafa am luñ wax.
Can you tell the commission the name of that journalist?
That is Fatou Jagne.
kooku Fatou Jagne la.
And her court case dragged so much that she was frustrated. And as a woman, she just came in the Gambia to, be part of that family ritual, and she was deprived of her freedom.
te tamit na nga xam ne dafa ñëwoon rek pour jaale ci dëj boo xam ne ñëwoon na fi ñu dal di ko xañ nag teraanga yooyu yëpp.
Gambians will die also abroad, but their bodies will not be accepted in the country.
am na Gambien yoo xam ne sax ci biti la ñoo dee waaye nag seen niw duñ ko nangoo ñu indi ko fii ci réew bi pour rok ko.
Witness in Dakar the case of Buba Balde when he passed.
ci lu mel ni ki Buba Balde ci Dakar bi mu faatoo.
Everything was organized by Gambians in Senegal and his family.
Gambien ci nekk bi Sénégal yëpp dal di toppatoo mbir yooyu ak njabootam.
For the body to be brought back.
pour nag ñu mën a indi niw bi.
But the process the authorities refused entry.
waaye nag kilifa yi nag ci réew mi dal di bañ na daal du niw bi du agsi.
So he was finally buried in Medina Gounass.
mu jégi ci lañ ko dal di yóbbu Medina Gounass dal di ko fa suuli.
That was also very traumatic for the family because the last wish was to come back to the Gambia.
ndax nag loolu nag li nga xam ne moo nekkoon seen ine mooy pour mu ñëwaat ci réewi Gambia.
So now at this point, the government was not only violating the rights of people who were alive.
Bon dafa melni jamono joju mom nguur gi emuñ rek ci yaxa yelle fi ñi dunda.
They were also violating the rights of the dead.
Waaye nit ki dee sax ñu ngi doon yaxa yelle fam.
It was really punishment. People were punished. You can see that there were violations, they were punishing people, and all to instill fear so that people will not attempt to resist and to continue to denounce what was happening in the country. And also they use a lot of the embassy, especially in Senegal. They use also a lot of the NIA people to spy on human rights organizations.
Embassy NIA Sénégal yo lañ daan jëfoo pour nag ñu yëdu li doxali ni yenn mbootaay yi nga xam ne ni ñooy dox ci wàlli ak doomu aadama.
But at this point now, the Gambians want to change.
Yeah, the Gambians who, at least some of them, many, I would say, wanted to change. There were many people who were silent, but you can feel that they were scared, but they just wanted the system to change.
ñu bari na bëggoon nañ wécceeku nguur naam sax am na ñoo xam ne ni ñu ngi noppi woon waaye lu si munti xew rek daal bëggoon nañu wécceeku nguur.
So then all these efforts were made, and then we had the elections.
Bon ñu jël taxawaay yooyu yëpp nag daal di def oote bi.
And there was a change in government.
ñu daal di wécceeku daal di am nag ci nguur gi.
Can you tell this commission how you all felt when that change occurred?
Ba wécceeku boobu amee nag ndax mun ngaa wax commission bi naka nga ko gisee.
Yeah, I think it was quite beautiful that I don't know what the past, but for the first time I've seen Gambians all together, coming together, talking about one thing, people from the diaspora, people in the opposition, and everybody came together. And when the results were declared, even people from President Jammeh's camp, I've known many of them, I've seen many of them. They were also relieved, some of them, until we had the reverse of his decision. But you can see that the country was, people were relieved.
ca njëlbeen nit ñëpp seen xel daloon na ñu ngi fiir ñu ngi waxtaanee mbir mi wécceeku bi am bee ci jamono bi nga xamee daal mbir mi wëlbateku na.
And Gambia became, we became really the country that did it. I would say peacefully, because nobody ever thought that with election, Jammeh would be defeated. So it was a surprise, a big shock to the whole world. A pleasant surprise. So everybody mobilized across the world to support the Gambia.
Gambia Yaya Jammeh dana ko ñak rek ci mbiri wote ñu bari kontanon nañ ñi am nañ ena pour nak taxaw.
And this little country that we usually refer to was known by the whole world.
Te gannaaw gi nag réew mi nga xam ne réew mu tuuti la comme niñ ko dee waxee gannaaw gi mu dal di siiw nag àddina bi yëpp yëg ko.
We were known from all corners.
àddina bi yëpp gannaaw gi ñu mujjee xam Gambia.
But then we had the twist.
Waaye nag gannaaw gi nag dal di soppeeku dal di amaat.
Tell this commission about the twist that happened.
Wax ñu commission bi li xewoon jamono boobu.
I think we all jubilated. We were very happy to exhibit our passports in airport. I remember one of my friends, she was traveling somewhere, and then people just saw her passport somewhere in Addis, and they just came to hug her and to, you know, congratulate. And everybody wanted to be part of the Gambian story. And it was great. I remember when I used to travel for my human rights work in certain countries, but because my other name, Senghore, I think that has saved me for many times, because when I go to those difficult countries, the first thing they will say, where's Yaya Jammeh? So meaning you have a lot in your country, so what are you coming to tell us? And then, well, because I was based in Senegal and my other name is Senghore, so they will start, you know, looking at that other bit, you know, to just kind of legitimize and say, well, you know, Senegal is good and blah blah. But I felt like when the change happened, we received so many good messages across from friends, colleagues, everywhere, interpreters of conferences. It was really Gambia. It was resonating all over the world, and you couldn't even. I refused to do interviews until the evening because I was so scared. When we knew the results, we were very lucky that we got the information very early, because you remember he got internet at that time. So some of the colleagues came around the border. They were given a lot of possibilities to at least speak to the people on the ground. And late in the evening, we knew that he lost, but we were so scared to do anything, even to talk about it. So we share with some media, at least to start, you know, preparing the headlines so that at least we can build some momentum. We were not sure that he would accept anyway. But surprisingly, he accepted. The world, many people praised him, and it was really great for the Gambia. So when he changed his mind, I think we were all shocked. Yeah, and we realized that we have to start again.
What was the reaction of the country when he changed his mind? Of the country?
I was already back in Dakar in the night. And we started to talk to many Gambians, including the coalition. But I think the first thing was safety. How were people safe? Because of course we were more concerned about what next, you know. And in Senegal, so we quickly mobilized. some of us met.
Especially
those working in the media. In some.
I
think Aisha Dabo, Demba Diaw was still in Senegal. Aisha was there with us.
Aisha Dabo, Demba Diaw, and Tafa.
So we met in my house to really strategize on what, especially vis-a-vis of the Senegalese media and the media in general. So so we were assigned to help call few people. So the coalition asked us to help them call few people within Addis, within us, and so we did some. It was very late, but we did some of the calls to South Africa, and then the Senegalese government decided to talk. I guess after quick consultation with the chair, then Ellen Johnson and the ECOWAS members.
Ellen Johnson and ECOWAS members.
And TFM organized a quick special edition in the evening.
TFM daldi jotay bu ci
So they asked us to really help coordinate with the president.
Ci nga xamné dal non lañuy wax ak president bi.
So Manker Njai, the former minister, set the tone and said that they will not tolerate the position, and he put forward the position of Senegal and ECOWAS.
Manker Njai nak daldi wax na li nga xamné ni moy sen ité ni réewi Sénégal ni dal duñ ci bokk té témen ak li nga xamné moy seen ina ak Sénégal ECOWAS.
Also I made an appearance in that program.
Té téwon na ci programme bobu.
And then later on we called President Barrow.
Gannaaw loolu nag ñu President Barrow.
To go to speak in that program.
Pour nag mu wax ci programme boobu.
After few discussions, he thought that he needed to wait the next day.
So that they can.
Yeah, but after we say we don't know, they might cut your telecommunication. You never know. So I think it's your chance just to speak to the world now.
We
were very nervous, and so he did. He spoke once. That was not persuasive because everybody was in the shock. Then after Tafa and I tried to persuade him, we convened at the end, he agreed, and he did. And then we told him that he should speak again. Because the headlines were really, and people were just texting and saying, your president is not,
But at this time, it was like the Gambian people wanted to hear from him because he was the president-elect.
Yes, yeah, because remember, we didn't have media in the Gambia at that time. Because JRTS will not air his position. They only air the position of the president, the outgoing president.
Jamono bobu danaka amuñ bunte tassé kay xibaar ci réew mi ndax jamono bobu GRTS duñ wax lan moy xewam affaire am moy président biñ tanné di Baro way nak ñom bu ya jammé bi rek lañ ci génné.
So then we just frame one or two sentences and coordinate with him. He did very well, and he spoke with authority. And he condemned, the usual thing, we condemn, blah, blah. And then it was good. And the international media picked from that headline. And then I think it helped at least to send a kind of message, because when Senegal spoke, defend, you have also to speak that you are in command, you are in charge, and you are condemning, and you're going to do the necessary, which I think he did very well at the end. So, and the headlines changed quickly, and now the rest, I guess, is history. And,
Madam Witness, after that event, did Yahya Jammeh step down? as president.
Seede bi gannaaw loolu nag président Yaya Jammeh ndax nangoon na wàcce toogu président bi.
No, as we know, he accelerated. It was the day he announced on the 9th, in the evening. So that was just the beginning of the impasse.
Niki juróom-ñeenti fan ci weeri January loolu nag mooy commencement impasse bi juróom-ñeenti fan ci weeri décembre la.
And we've seen ECOWAS coming back and forward
ñu gis ECOWAS di dem ak ñëw ci Gambia.
All the stakeholders across the country, denouncing his action. Most of, at least the key actors from the professional institutions, even the religious leaders supported the newly elected president. And we've seen really a resolve across the board really to reason him and to say that, we need to turn the page.
So as a legal mind, we know that he tried to file a petition in the Supreme Court. Is that correct?
Supreme Court
Can you tell the Commission what you know about that application?
Well, the different organizations within the country, especially the bar, took a stand, and many other institutions, the university, all the professional institutions. And I think when he realized that the pressure was such, and coupled with what was done internationally, I think he decided that he will explore some legal avenues to try and legitimize his claims.
Jamono bi nga xamé na xatam nañ ko ci buntu moy lawyer yi mbotay lawyer university bi ak yenen mu gis ne dal fim nek ni na jaar ci benen yoon wo xamné ni mu ngi jëppok wali loi pour gis ne dal bañ gim bañ wala bok lim bëggona dégëral ay cadeau mu jaaré ko ci yoon.
So I think they started to explore that avenue, but it was quite clear that the Supreme Court was not constituted.
Supreme Court
and it would have been really funny to set up a court just for that purpose at that time, when you had all these years to really strengthen the judiciary, ensure that you appoint judges, so you refused to do so, and now you have a case in point and you're trying to constitute a court. So for us it was quite an entry point, so we were quite attacked everywhere. And don't underestimate, he had networks. Of course, he was a president for many years. And across the board, I was so surprised, across the board, not only in Senegal, whenever I was in a panel, anyways, there was somebody defending President Jammeh with really solid argument, legal argument. And of course, most of them didn't know our system, but they had compelling arguments that could really cast doubt about what was happening. So he managed at some stage to create some a situation where people believe that, of course, he had the right to appeal, and he had the right to get his case to the Supreme Court. And that was quite interesting.
Supreme Court.
So we had to push for a media campaign. Many Gambians who were in Senegal, who were in South Africa, they really mobilized across in the US. Everywhere Gambians mobilized to really be on the media wherever they are, to push the narrative and to insist that he had no case because we don't have a Supreme Court. And obviously the system doesn't work like that. Because if the results are declared by the IEC, you can proceed, and if you want to challenge them, you can go ahead, but you cannot stop everything and call for fresh elections. So we build a narrative around that, and also we build the narrative around the fact that that court will not be legitimate. And some of us and people in the bar and also use the different contacts we have in Nigeria, in the different countries, in Sierra Leone, I remember also, to really encourage our colleagues to talk to those judges who are identified, because they already identified few. So some of the colleagues from Gambia have decided, and some of our human rights colleagues, especially those who are in certain states, we also use those contacts to insist that at least, because we needed to work at different levels. to say, okay, if at all the international community, because it was very complicated at the end. There were a lot of discussions around, okay, maybe we should give him a chance. And we said, if we go that way, we were going to be in trouble. So we needed to do a process in different folds to talk to those judges who are identified not to come, to ensure that we also bring forward the narrative of a known case for him. And also, we talk about all the atrocities. So, and it was a time where we needed to change the narrative ourselves. It was no longer, yeah, all those violations, because everybody praised him for accepting, and everybody said, okay, he has a right because the IEC gave 2 sets of results. So why are you denying him his right to appeal? Which was difficult.
At some point, I was enjoying the conversation. I forgot about the interpreters. Oh. We forgot about them. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
If we may take it bit by bit, because what you're saying now, it's very important, and it's important that the audience understand the conversation.
Sorry about that. I think we went into a conversation. So, well, in a nutshell, I think during the impasse, he didn't use a lot of intimidation. He recreated that. Jagne tried to recreate another image of him. To say, well, you know, I want to go to court. And I think that was very appealing to many people. An outgoing president with all his powers and who has oppressed his people for so many years, losing election, accepting and then... It was kind of appealing to many people. So he was well advised, I would say. But we all know Jagne was also not, was very intelligent. He knows how also to get to people's mind. He was very intelligent. So he had a lot of support across the board, especially. And they also took over, or they were present in many media platforms across the world. So we needed to always be cautious about certain things in order to convince the audience, but also to get on board people who were not convinced. The other bit, when he used the legal avenue to say that he will constitute the Supreme Court. The legal profession here and all the associations, I think, worked with the different contacts across the region. We were also lucky that we knew some of those colleagues in Nigeria, in Sierra Leone. We encourage them also to talk to those judges and their authorities not to be part of the scam. So it was a collective effort of many Gambians, and each doing different things. Sometimes coming together. Sometimes in isolation. So for me, the change and the work that Gambians did during the impasse, I believe it was a collective work. It was something that shows our resolve really to move from the repressive regime to something new, and we wanted to change.
So then now we have this network that has been formed. Gambians have come together in a collective way. Jammeh sees there's no other way, but he has to leave. But then he now refers again to another legal instrument, which is the Constitution. Can you tell this commission how he used the Constitution? Try to stay in power.
Okay, I think before we get to that, if you allow. Remember on the 13th also, they went to seal the IEC office. When the team came in the morning, they found that their office was there and they were quite scared. So the CEO called my office. And, one of the contact who was with them, my PA particularly, she was always working with them, briefing and following up what was happening. So she informed us about the situation. So we checked on all of the leadership and the chair, the vice chair, and himself, and the CEO himself. So they reassured us that, of course, it was closed, but they were okay. So they didn't face any challenge, and there was no threat to them. So we called the president to take action and also to see if we can mobilize some of the partners to secure the IEC, because we thought at that time the election materials was critical and it needed to be secure, but also those in leadership needed at least to get some kind of protection. So the CEO was already somewhere in his village because he was advised to be out of the city. So the chair and the vice chair, they were around, and there was no security for them. So they just were okay. It was the same day that the ECOWAS delegation was coming. Well, given the fact that things were really confused and the president was not yet in charge of everything because of the threats around him and so we decided that we will talk to some senior diplomats to help and do something for the IEC. So the details can be found in the document. And then they agree and took action through their capitals. So then, but the IEC chair was quite comfortable. He said that he was okay. He was not leaving. So, but after a while, I think the situation was getting a little bit tense, and his security was no longer guaranteed, so he had to leave. So that's when we started to see that they were moving towards more kind of draconian and trying to instill fear, because at the beginning it was more to say that of course we will use the court avenues, but one of your first move is to close IEC and to ensure that those in charge of election will get scared.
We moved on where he now declared a state of emergency. He tried to use the Constitution. Extend his stay. Can you tell this commission about that action he took?
Yeah, the different tactics, I think, were also, this one specifically, was a response to the imminent, I think, decision, because it was clear that the international community was quite resolved and there would be intervention. Of course, probably not military, but they would not move, they would not back up.
li nga xam ne ni mooy jéego yi mu jëloon tamit bokk na ci tamit gannaaw boo xamee nit ñi ci biti ñu ngi ñëw.
So I think that was his last resort to say, well, we will expand and stretch the possibilities, the legal possibilities, by declaring a state of emergency.
dogal bi nga xam ne ni jëloon na ko daal di ne pour nañu fexe yaatal nag seen toogaay mooy jamono bi ñu dugalee nag luwaay njàppandal boobu noonu state of emergency bi.
That I think to restrict people's movement, people's actions, and probably to.
tënk nag nit ñi seen dem ak dikk ak seen i aajo daal.
To be honest, at that time, I think it was just rhetorical, because the way things were going across the wall and even within the Gambia, people were calm, they were going by, they were going after their businesses, and it was very clear that he will not succeed. So I believe it was an attempt just to try hard his luck.
gëmoon nañ rek ne daal mbiram li mu doon yëngatu noonu daal du sotti waaye nag dañ gis rek ne tamit daal dañ ko bàyyi rek ne pour nag mu daal di seet nag ay pexeem rek.
But the lessons may be learned from that was whatever you do, there will be always, even if it is extremely dangerous for the security of the country.
Madam Witness, there's a motion that the National Assembly then moved to resolve that the term of the Assembly should be extended for 90 days.
Amon na lo xamne tamit negi député yi tédarlor nañ ko ne dañ wara yokka li nga xamne modi togaay président bi yeneen juroom ñent fukki fan.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I would like to show the witness this particular document.
Legi nak mu won sédé bi kayit bi ni.
Madam Witness, looking at that document, it does indicate that the National Assembly did hear a motion for a resolution to be passed for the extension of the National Assembly.
Li mom la negi député téralon na pour ñu mëna yokka li nga xamné modi taxaway ci jamono joju.
You may also look at this section of the Constitution.
Nga sét tamit na fan bobu lan la ci loi réew mi wax.
It's section 63 of the Constitution, Mr. Chair. And subsection 6. Madam Witness, can you read that section out for this commission?
The
term of office of an elected president shall, subject to subsection 3 and 6, be for a term of 5 years, and the person elected president shall, before assuming office, take the prescribed oath. The person elected president shall assume after 60 days following the date of his or her election, and in any case where the candidature of a person contesting the election is unopposed, such candidate shall be declared unopposed and elected to the office of the president on the day following the making of such declaration. A person elected as president may at any time during his term of office be removed from office if a no confidence motion is passed at the National Assembly, supported by 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly. Where a no confidence motion is passed, In accordance with subsection 3, the Speaker shall request the Independent Electoral Commission to call for a referendum within 30 days of the passing of such motion to endorse or reject the decision of the National Assembly, and where such decision is endorsed, the President shall vacate office.
If you look at subsection 6 of that paragraph, of that section, sorry.
So said law, subsection 6.
Like proceed?
You may read it.
Okay. The procedure for the conduct of such referendum shall be prescribed by an act of the National Assembly, where the life of the National Assembly is extended for a period in accordance with section 99(2), the term of the office of the President shall be extended for the same period. Indeed. It was...
He tried to use the Constitution and the National Assembly to extend his term in office.
Well, it was a lost strategy, but it was a good strategy not to extend openly his own term, but by in an indirect manner. So.
Pexe la moo xam ne nii nag nekkul rek pour yaatal nag lii di mandaam waaye nag jëfuwee tamit pour yaatalaat beneen mandat yi tamit.
The consequence of extending that of the National Assembly will be his own.
Tey tamit nag lu jëm ci wàllu yaatal nag li ci mandat yi néegi député yi dafa mel ni rek bosam lay nekk.
The other point may be that we need also to put on the resolution the members passed was also to denounce the interference of the AUP's Peace and Security Council, and of course the Senegal and their representative at the UN Security Council. Here I do believe Senegal played a big role also as a non-permanent member at the Security Council at that time.
Security Council
Would it be correct to say that this resolution, this motion that was passed for these resolutions to be adopted, was to shut the Gambian people again so that he will continue to dictate this country?
Lii nag mën nañoo wax ne boo gisee mu jàllale ko foofu pour doxal ko ci néegi député yi mooy daal pour nootaati waa réewi Gambia nga xam ne dina leen dugalaat ci nooteel boobu nga xam ne moom la nekkee woon.
You can see the date. It was 17.
Bés bi nag fukki fan ak juróom ñaar la woon.
Just before the the 19th. So I think it was quite a desperate move to really find a possibility of extending the space for discussion. I do believe that he realized that things were tightening up and the international community would be moving anyway. It was quite clear for all of us that there was no turning back. So I think he was trying to buy time. And this specific 2 days before the inauguration, it was clear that once we have that possibility of extending 3 months, then we can still be in a framework that is legally justified, so that we can still continue the negotiation. I think he was. I'm not sure. History will only tell us what he was thinking, because what I know at that time, not 100%, but at least to some degree of certitude, that he was quite alone in except with few advisors.
Yaakaar naa jamono boobu daal moom kenn rek moo ànd ak ñenn yu néew ci ñoo xam ne ñoo ko daan yedd.
Most of his ministers were already,
ñu bëri ci ministère mi daal di woon nañu dellu gannaaw.
So he was left with few advisors. So I don't know. It was a way of further preparing himself for the exit.
Are you able to tell this commission the few advisors that remained with Yaya Jammeh?
Well, because I will not be fair, maybe, because I don't have all the certitude, but I know for sure that he had few advisors, so I want to leave it at that. But I think he was really negotiating, preparing for his exit.
waaye nag xam naa ne daal mu ngi doon waajal nag pour ni muy génnee.
The constitution could not save him on that instance.
Constitution bi bëggoon a wéeru daal mënuñ ko woon a sowe ci jamono boobu.
No, the people have spoken, and you see what Gambians did at that time was to say that they've, and I remember in some of our communication we had to say, you know, Gambians have really been into these difficulties. They've suffered in silence. They've managed to push slowly. The whole world didn't see our pain in most cases. And now we have this opportunity to move. The world cannot leave us alone. And that was our thing that, you know, we've suffered in silence all these years, and we've done it. I must say that Gambians, they've done it. There were few supporters. There were few supporters of the Gambia. Even for election, nobody believed in our election. I remember when people said that there will be election, people say, it's just another kind of way of endorsing Jammeh. So it was the opportunity for the world to come to our rescue. And it was also a moment where the world was really depressed with what was happening around. I think have Little Gambia really come out of this dictatorship in grand style. I think it was quite an amazing thing, and I would like to say that our neighbors didn't let us down, and ECOWAS stood firmly. And I think that position of ECOWAS is the kind of position that we would like to see more often. What they've done on the Gambian situation was.
So buge mu neex dang ñoo may ñu wax de nit ñaa ngi yow déglu de. Boo ñu may dana neex torop.
Okay. Sorry.
Tuuti rek nga jëlaat ma continuer foofu.
Fan laay jëlaat.
Tuuti rek soo mu ne fàttale ko li nga doon wax.
So it's just that the constitution didn't do much for him because I think the will of the people was strong.
Liñ gis rek moo nekkoon ay na nit ñi daal mënoon gënoon naa gën a dëgër bunti luwaay république bu Gambia bi nga xam ne ci la gënoon bëggoon a wéeru ndax bu boobu luwaa bi daal dimbaliwutoon ko ni mu ko buggee.
Madam Witness, but at this time, most Gambians had now relocated to Senegal. Is that correct?
Seede bi fekk na nag jamono boobu doomi Gambia yu ci bari dawoon nañ làqu ji Senegal.
But really it was because of the fear.
Waaye li ko waraloon nag mooy ragal.
And a lot of women, children left this country.
Jigéen yu ci bari ak gune yu ndaw génnoon nañ génn réew mi.
Seek refuge in Senegal.
Dem làqu ji ca Senegal.
Apart from that, we had other high officials who did leave the jurisdiction to go to Senegal.
Loolu sax am na yeneeni kilifa yoo xam ne ñoom tamit génn nañ réew mi làqu ji Senegal.
Can you discuss with the Commission some of the issues that happened in Senegal?
Yoo mun a wax commission bi yenn ci xew-xew yi nga xam ne moo xewoon Senegal jamono boobu.
Yeah, I think just even before this, the state of emergency, people started to move.
Bala sax jamono bi nga xam ni ci la yebaane woon nag lu jëm ci wàllu luwaay njàppantal boobu ci wàllu kaaraange nit ñi commencé woon nañ di daw di génn.
And when it was clear that he was not going.
Bi mu leeree nag ne moom du génn du dem.
And that ECOWAS will move in.
Te tamit nga xam ne ni kuréeli Afrique sowu jant gi ñu xamee ECOWAS danañ dugg si.
So people were so scared that there would be violence.
Nit ñi nag tiitoon nañ lool foog ne ndax fitna bu rëy dana fi am.
So it was quite unpredictable and there were a lot of uncertainties.
Te tamit nit ñaa ngi doon jaaxle kenn xamu daal ci lan la ñuy mujjee.
So people decided, you know, to do what they can do to move.
Boobaa nag ci la nit ñi xalaat ne daal ñu def li nga xam ne ni loolu lañ mën a def mooy pour ñu daw génn.
So the embassies ask their citizens to take certain precautions.
ñi dëkk ci réew mi ñooy tamit jël yeneen i jéego matuwaay pour aar seen bopp.
Those who have means will book themselves in hotels.
ñi nga xam ne ni am nañ ko nag man nañ ko ñu daal di fay ci hotel yi.
And of course the general populations.
Ak mbooloo mi yëpp nag daal.
They ran away and they were hosted by communities like themselves in the host countries, in the host country, mainly Senegal.
Daw ñu bari li ci ëpp daal dem Sénégal nga xam ne nii fi ñu jóge ko suñ demee seen yeneen moroom ñoo leen a nekk seen daluwaay di seen njaatige.
So apart from the elite, I think most of the Gambians who run away, they went to Senegalese families.
Gannaaw nag ñi nga xam ne nii ñooy borom xam-xam wala nag ñi nga xam ne ñoo sisoon ci nguur gi. ñeneen ñi tamit daw nañ te buñ dawee dañooy làqu ji seen i njaboot seen i mbokk ci Sénégal.
So many Gambians, refugees.
ay daw làqu yu bari di ay doomi Gambian.
And some Gambians based in Senegal also mobilize, organize to help those people who left the country.
ñeneen Gambian yi nga xam ne ñoom ñu nga nekkee ci réewu Sénégal ñoom ñu dajaloo seet nu ñoo dimbalee di Gambian yi nga xam ne ñoo dawee fii dal di dem Sénégal.
They did very well, and some of them were previously in same situation as refugees, so they understood the dilemma, the difficulties, so they really helped, but also just other professional Gambians. But I believe that most of the hosting was done by the community, so it shows also our togetherness and how important that all these piece of work that governments are trying sometimes to do.
Bari nak ñi nga xamné ni ñoo dalal ni ñoom itamé wone ni ñoo nekk ci fofu ci benen bor bi té itamé lool wone na itamé benno bi nga xamné ni feñ na ci digënté bobu.
Divide our countries.
Té li nga xamné mo xajalé suñu réew yi.
That the people themselves they have solidarity and they want to live together.
Waaye nag nit ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk ci diggante ñaari réew yooyu kenn ku ne amal na moroomam solidarité te tamit ñu ngi mën a nekk ci benn place.
We've seen it throughout the oppression how Senegalese will support Gambians.
Gis nañ ci jamono notel boobu yëpp naka nga xamee noonu la Sénégalais yi di dimbalee Gambian yi.
All levels.
ci fànn na bu nekk.
Politically it was difficult, but we were able also to get some political support from Senegal to ensure that Gambians will not be exposed.
Ci politique nag jafe woon na waaye nag ci yenn fànn yi gis nañu tamit ne daal dana neex ci ngir nag gis ne Gambian yenn yi duñ sonn.
And in many cases they granted them refugee status.
Te tamit ci yenn boro yu bari dañ leen daan may nag ndimbal dal di leen teg ñu dalal leen.
And we know that those were things that created a lot of tension between the two countries.
Gis nañ ne loolu nag moo indi woon féewalo yu bari ci diggante ñaari réew yi.
Because President Jammeh will always complain that his relationship with Senegal was based on good faith.
Ndax saa bu ne rek President Jammeh la daan wax ne diggante ma Sénégal ñu ko wér rek ci anam gu wér.
Senegal will host all his opponents and support them.
Sénégal nag dañ dee jël ñi nga xam ne ñoo koy dinga nag dal di leen dalal.
And by opponent, generally he meant human rights and defenders, journalists, and people who just simply couldn't stay here because of persecution.
ñi nga xam ne ñoom nag laay wax ne ñoom ñoo koy dingat boo leen seetloo rek mooy ñi nga xam ne ni ñooy baddu mbiri yelle fi doomu aadama ak ay wuy taskati xibaar ak ñi nga xam ne ni daal toog nañ fii xam ne ñun de mënatuñoo xej fii ci toroxal yi nga xam ne moom la ñu jànkuwanteet.
Thank you very much, Madam Witness.
Jërëjëf seeda bi.
Sorry, we have to talk about the inauguration.
Léegi nag ñu wax ci pal gi.
If you may quickly tell us the part you played in the inauguration in Senegal.
Ci jamono ji ñoo fal président bu bees bi ca Sénégal yow yan jéego nga ci jëloon.
I think when the whole world realized that President Jammeh was not moving.
Bi àdduna bi yëpp gisee ne naal President Jammeh mii kat parewut a wàcc siis bi.
I think ECOWAS took the right decision to have a plan B.
Ci la ECOWAS nag dal di amaat beneen pexe.
I'm not sure that I know about everything.
Nekkul nag ne xam naa nag yëpp de.
But what I do know about some of the arrangements.
Waaye nag li nga xam ne nii xam naa ko ci di joxalin yi nga xam ne def nañ ko.
The decision was a last-minute one.
Dogal la boo xam ne nii ci mujjantal gi nag lañ ko jël.
I remember that there were different options to get in the Gambia and push, and then he will not, thinking that he will not react.
Te tamen amna pexé yu bari yo xamné del nañ ko pour sét né dal dañ ko mëna agalé fi ci Gambie té dal du ci def dara.
But security-wise, I think they were not sure that if that move was wise.
Waaye nag ci mbiri kaaraange ñu gis ne xelaat wóorul de.
And some of the details you can find in some of the documents. And then they decided to do the inauguration.
Ci kaw loolu nag ci lañ fexe nag pour dal di def faluteem ak waatam.
And that took quite a kind of gymnastic legally, especially under international law, as you know.
Te ñu gis ne daal nekk na loo xam ne di daal ak tobute la ci mbiri loi ci àdduna bi.
It was not easy even for Senegal.
Du yomb sax pour Sénégal.
And because many partners, diplomats, certain countries.
Ay wëlëre yu bari ñoo xam ne nii ci yeneen réew yi.
They were querying the legal basis and also questioning really some of the decisions that were planned.
Te ñu bari daal di am jaaxle nag ci mbiri pexe yooyu nga xam ne moom lañ def ndax dëppoo naag wàlli loi.
But beyond use of Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, I think between Senegal and Gambia, and I personally discovered during the impasse that there are hundreds of treaties on everything between the two countries.
Am na lu dem ci ay téeméeri nanga ko ndek réew mi.
When advice were sought and discussions were happening, so all those treaties, all those bilateral agreements were brought forward really to prepare some of the documentation and back and forward between New York, Dakar, ECOWAS, and at the end I think they made a compelling case that the ultimate objective was to strategically use Chapter 7.
Te ñi nga xam ne nii ñu ngi jël pexe lu jëm ci wàlli fan ak juróom-ñaar bi.
And that was the only way they can authorize force under international law, so ECOWAS will not do it on its own.
Te tamit noonu rek lañ mën a jëlee nag ay loi ci biti te ECOWAS du ko def moom kenn.
And for that to happen,
te tamit pour loolu am.
The president must be fully president and give the mandate and request for support.
Te nag kon loolu foog si rek président bi nekk président bu mot sëkk bu ko defee mën a sàkku nag ndimbal boobu nga xam ne ni aajoo na ko.
So when we talk about a lot of ECOWAS intervention, but you see like the intervention was really based on Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. And that's how the legal minds crafted the whole thing and got the president to be sworn at the embassy there.
ñu ngi wax nag ci ndimbal yu bari waaye bi ñuy wax nag muy ci mbiru ECOWAS mu ñu ko wéer rek ci juróom-ñaareeli fànn bi loolu sax moo tax nag président bi dal di waate nag ci embassy bu foofu ci Sénégal.
So that's an interesting piece of doctrine and jurisprudence for scholars. I think it's quite unique.
Ndax loolu nag benn la ci maasam.
But it gives us opportunity to get Gambia out of the tough situation.
waaye nag dal dina ubbil buntu pour Gambia nag mën a génn ci jafe-jafe boobu.
And that was fully legal.
te loolu dëppoo woon na ak yoon.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Madam Witness. And thank you for your testimony.
Jërëjëf seede bi jërëjëf ci nga xam ne moom nga fi gaaral.
Mr. Chair, that is all for the witness from me. I hand it over to the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you very much, Madam Fatou Jagne Senghore, for your testimony.
Jërëjëf Council, jërëjëf Madam Fatou Jagne Senghore, ci sa seede yi nga fi joxe.
Thank you for the years of dedicated service you rendered to human rights.
Jërëjëf tamit ci at yu bari yi nga xam ne def nga liggéey yu am solo yoo xam ne yëpp yaa ngi ko jëmale ci yelleefi doomu aadama.
Not just in Gambia, but also in the region and the wider world.
Emalewuloo ko rek ci biir réewi Gambia waaye yaa ngi ko yaatal ba ci tunda wi yaatal ko ba ci yeneen fànn yi ci àddina si.
You gave unflinching support to Gambians in Senegal.
Wa Gambia yi nak amna ndimbal yo xamne amul dayo yo xamne dimbalé nga len ko jamono yi nga nek Sénégal fofu.
As well as in the diaspora.
Ak it sax ñi nga xamne ñoy doomi réew yi nek bitim réew.
In their greatest hour of need.
Ci jamono jo xamne dig soxla won nañ jappalé.
During the brutal dictatorship that we had here for 22 years.
Jamonoy notel gi nga xamne amon nañ ko fi ci biir réew mi ñaar fukki at ak ñaar.
You gave your compatriots some hope.
Jox nga sa ay nawle yaakar.
When Jammeh did everything to destroy that hope and instill fear permanently in the country.
Jamono janga xamé né Jammeh mu doon def kémtalay katanam pour yaxa yaakar gogu nga xamné mom la sa ay ñoñ amone ngir mëna indi titangé ak ragal ci biir réew mi.
You were absolutely right. I was in New York when the Security Council was dealing with Gambia.
Wax nga diga jamono joju ma ngi won New York jamono yi nga xamné kurel gi amé wali karangé gi ñu doon jëfé mbiri Gambia.
It was extraordinary to see the kind of solid support that they gave to the Gambia and ECOWAS and the AU.
Lu am solo la won ñu mëna gis jappalé gi nga xamné taxawon nañ jonna pour jappalé ko Gambia, ECOWAS ak AU.
They were quite determined not to see this country being abused in a continuous way again.
Ñom dañ farlu won taxaw jonna né dal dinañ gis né réewi Gambia mi du continuer di nekkat ci anam yi metti yi nga xamné mom la nekké won.
A lot of credit goes to Sweden and Senegal.
Li nga xamné nak modi tagga gi yépp ngi wara dem nak ci Sweden ak Senegal.
Sweden was president of the council during that fateful month.
Réewi Sweden jamono joju no nekkon president ci council bi ci jamono bobu.
But there was also the point that you said about ECOWAS. The role that they played was extraordinary.
Why amna jamono jo xamne sax wax nga fi mbiri ECOWAS ñomi taxaway biñ taxawé amna solo torop.
The former Secretary General was speaking, Kofi Annan was speaking to ECOWAS leaders almost on a daily basis.
Kane kon Secretary General ba jamono bobu Kofi Annan mu doon wax ak wa ECOWAS mun na wax ne sax bor bu set.
You should hear the telephone conversation with these leaders on a loudspeaker every single day, and they were all determined not to ease the pressure on Jammeh to leave.
Yang ko dégg ni mo jokkoye ak ñi nga xamne ñoy won kilifa yoyu ci ay anam yo xamne dal dinañ def seen kemtalay katan be gis ne Jammeh tax kaddom yoyu du taxaw.
Well, thank you enormously for your testimony. Very educative, very informative.
ñu ngi la gërëm bu baaxa baax sédé yi kaddu yi nga xamne mom nga fi joxe nek na lo xamne jangukaay la te amna solo torop ci wàllu xibaar.
I can't wait to hear your concluding remarks, especially on the way forward for us and what the ACTMA says we do to prevent a repetition of abuses and violations of human rights that occurred here.
Yakamtina torop na pour déglu sa kaddu yu mujja yo xamne ding ko fi mëna garal ci ay anam yo xamne nak dinañ ci mëna sukkandiku be mëna jëm kanam te gis ne lepp lo xamne mo fi doon nekk di fi dox ci yaxa yelle fi doom adama dootul am fi ci biir réew mi.
Commissioners, if you have any questions to ask, please. Yes, Deputy Chair, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's not a question, really.
It's
just to add my voice to your thanks. And to emphasize that Fatou's testimony is just a synopsis of the extraordinary work that she has done.
Kaddu yi nga xamne mom la fi garal ci ay sédem lu tuuti la rek ci taxaway ak jéego yu am solo yi nga xamne mom def nako.
We could have spent 2 days just listening to her testimony.
Dinañ fi tok ñaari fan sax di déglu yi nga xamne mom la wara wax.
But nevertheless, the abridged version has been excellent.
Waye terewut nak li nga xamne mom la fi garal ak am na solo torop.
And it is in recognition of her outstanding work.
te ràññe boo xam ne ràññee nañ ko taxawaay yu am solo yi nga xam ne moom la jël.
That the President of France
ne ki nga xam ne moo di président bu France
awarded her
jox na ko taranga
Knight of the National Order of Merit
jox ko loolu nga xam ne mooy National Order of Merit
in 2018.
atum 2018.
Congratulations once again.
ñu ngi ko ndokkale waat ci loolu.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Imam.
Imam, see if I have a problem.
Yeah. Mustafa.
Mata jërëjëf kontaan nañ ci sa wax bi yëg nañ dégg ni nga nekkee woon Sénégal yàlla def la defoon njooyaan ci biir teen ku bugg a daanu rek daanu si sa ko nga génne ko
mu ngi meloon ni yàlla def la def it looks like God made you a savior.
njaayaan la ko yàlla defoon ci biir teen
God made you a savior inside a well.
Buga daanu ci teen bi daanu ci koom.
Anyone who falls into this well will fall on top of you.
Mu génne ko.
And you will save the person.
Damay dëgëral waxi chairman bi.
I'm just strengthening the words of the chairperson.
Yaa ngi toog Sénégal dëkkoo fa.
You are staying in Senegal, but you are not born there.
Ndax liggéeyal nit ñi.
It's just to work for people.
Seen jamm.
To bring peace for people.
Ak yermande ak jamm.
And to bring peace and harmony for the people.
Loolu war nañ la ci gërëm bu baax.
We should thank you for that.
Yàgg nañ dégg sa tur de.
We've been hearing your name.
Waaye nag tey la ko Yàlla dogalee nii.
But it is this way that Allah has destined things to happen.
Am nga ci ndam de.
Well, you've got a good name out of it.
Te mosoo am ci nguur gi jafe-jafe.
And you've never had any difficulties from the government.
Dégg naa ni ngay ñëwee fii di ñibbi.
We've heard how you come to the country here and go back to Senegal.
Waaye Yàlla def lay musal.
But Allah is always protecting you.
Lii moom dañ la cee gërëm.
We thank you for that.
Dala ci sant.
And we hail you for it.
Thank you very much, Imam. Commissioner Carr, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jerejef, Mr. Chairman.
And thank you, Madam Senghore, Madam Jagne Senghore.
Jerejef, Madam Jagne Senghore.
I also want to add my voice to commend you not only for your excellent advocacy on human rights, also for the research, excellent research that you have done in various fields, most especially on human rights. It was very helpful to me both during my LLB days and also during my LLM days at the University of the Gambia. Thank you for that. I just want to take my mind back to part of your presentation. And maybe this is something that you can deliberate on in your closing remarks. You have done excellent work on human rights, but most specifically on freedom of expression. Fortunately, a lot of those laws that you fought during Jammeh's time are still here. So how do you think we can get them off the law books? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. There are no further remarks. Please proceed to make your final remarks.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Chairman.
Honorable Commissioners and Lead Counsel.
Kilifa yi nga xamne ñoo sekk pencum TRRC mi ak council.
And all the staff working for this important commission.
Ak ñi nga xamne ñi ñoy liggéey ci commission bi.
I would like personally to thank the TRRC for availing me this opportunity to share our experience.
Dama njëkk gërëm rek TRRC ci niñ ma ubbilé bunta pour nak li nga xamné ni mom lañ jankonté.
And to commend you for the work that is going on.
Di leen tëgg tamit ci liggéey bi nga xamné ni mom ngeen ay def.
In very difficult situation.
Ci jamono bu jafe bi.
I believe that Gambia needed this institution.
Yaakaar Gambia ajo nañ buntu bu melni.
And the revelations that we've been hearing over the past few years
ak ci li nga xamné ni feeñal li nga xamné ni amna ci at yi ñu jox gannaaw.
Point to the fact that this is a must for this country to move forward.
Tay nga xamné ni dëgg ji moy rek li dañ ko yëkëti pour réew mi jëm kanam.
And saying about TRRCs or TRCs generally is that
pour wax nak lu jëm ci TRRC
many people when difficult regimes end
ñu bari nak su fekkee ne nguur gu metti jeexna
there is always a conflict.
Say bu ne rek da nga gis ay féewaloo.
Those who say let's move on so that because we have a nation to build.
ñi nga xam ne dañuy wax ne nañ dem bu jëm kanam boog ndegam am nañ réew moo xam ne dañ ko bëgg a indi yokkute.
Let's not bring back all those sad memories because it will delay our process of going forward.
waaw ne tamit buñ indi nag buñ ñuy fàttaliku yu métti yooyu ndax daf ñooy gën a tardé rek ci li yëngatu ci wàllu yokkute.
And those who have been suffering, who have no place to get remedy and who would like at least to be just heard.
Te ak ñeneen ñi nga xam ne beneen bunta bi mooy ñi nga xam ne nii torox nañ ci nguur googa sonn nañ te amuñ benn bunta bu leen daan mën a saafara seen bopp.
And the need for accountability cannot be overemphasized in this situation.
Aajo gi nga xam ne nii mooy pour ñu nettali képp fu waaye def ab jaar nit ñi xam ko.
Because if people don't accept their roles,
bu fekkee nit ñi nag nanguwuñ li nga xam ne nii mooy seen wàll.
their mistakes.
Seen njuumte.
And sometimes their inactions.
Ak yenn yi nga xam ne nii def nañ ko.
We will not grow as a nation.
Duñ mën a dem mukk di jëm kanam ni réew.
And the chances of recurrence will be significant.
Tey tamit pour nag lu ñaaw loolu mën a amaat boo léegi mën naa nekk de.
The right to truth is quite fundamental for a healing process.
Yelleef nag ci wàlli nettali dëgg nekk na lu am solo ci lépp loo xam ne mooy indi muñ ak jubowaat.
A French saying will say that if you're reading a book,
Français na wax nañu booy jàng ab téere.
You have to open it.
Danga ko war a ubbi.
Read it thoroughly.
Jàng ko bem set.
Before you consider closing it.
Balaa nga koy tëj.
And this page of history must be open. It has been open.
Te tamit fooy bi nga xam ne ni fooy taarix la foog si ñu ubbi ko de.
We have to read it thoroughly.
Te it foog si ñu jàng ko it bem set.
Take the responsibilities.
Jël nag gàddu nag warugal yi.
And draw the consequences.
Ki tamit nag daal di dékku nag li nga xam ne moo cay fàqee ko.
And then we will be able to say safely that we will close it and learn from it.
Bu boobaa nag dinañ mën a wax nag ne léegi de mën nañ koy tëj tey tamit jàngee nañ ci.
I would like to say that
bëgg naa wax ne
our government
suñ nguur gi
must take the forthcoming recommendation of this commission very seriously.
War nañoo fullaal nag mboolem loo xam ne nii lal dinañ ko ràññee mu tukkee ci pencum TRRC mi bu jeexee.
It will determine the future of this country.
Bu boobaa loola nag dana mën a xayma nag li nga xam ne nii mooy la njëm kanami réew mi.
It will help us to move as a nation.
Danañu dimbale nag pour ñu dem kanam ne réew lañ.
Learn to forgive.
Ñu jàng rek tamit nu ñuy jéggalante.
And try and rebuild our souls.
Ñu daldi mun a muñ nag daldi dalal nag suñ xol.
And then we will redeem ourselves, I think.
Bu boobaa nag dinañ mën a delloowaat suñ bopp fañ nekkoon.
I would like to personally thank my family.
Damay njëkk a gërëm tamit nag suma njaboot gi.
My parents first.
Sumay waajur.
Especially my mom.
Rawatina nag suma yaay.
For everything that she's done and for supporting my early days in my career.
Ci lépp loo xam ne ni def na ko rek di ma dimbale ci suma bunte yu njëkk ci wàlli njàng.
My husband, who's never pushed me to choose between family and my career.
suma jëkkër gi nga xam ne nii nag wax dëgg yàlla mosu taj bàyyi ma jéem a tànn suma diggante suma njàng wala suma jëm kanam ak suma njaboot.
My kids for their patience and their understanding.
ak sumay xale sumay doom ci seen muñ ak tamit seen déggin bu rafet ci suma mbir.
This work was a collective work that we've done.
liggéey bi nag liggéey la boo xam ne ñëpp a ko seqoon.
As a team within Article 19.
te nga xam ne ni mu ngi jëp dëppoo ak Article 19.
My own staff in Senegal and here.
sumay liggéeykat nag ñenn ñu nga Sénégal ñenn ñu ngi fii.
Regional offices, colleagues were very supportive of me.
suñ ñi nga xam ne ni ñooy liggéey ci suñ office bi nekkoon ci tund bi nekk na ñoo xam ne ñu ma taxawu lañ.
And my different directors in my 18 years career with the organization.
ak itamit nag sumay directors ci jamono bi nga xam ne ni maa ngi cee liggéey.
And I would like also to thank all of the partners across Africa and beyond. I cannot list them all, but most of the Gambia work also, we initiated some, we collaborated, we did jointly a lot of activities, and I must say Senegalese civil society has been really, really supportive of all the work on Gambia.
suñ wëllëre yëpp mënu ñoo wax nag ñëpp waaye nag lu mel ni ki Sénégal seen mbootaay yi nga xam ne ñooy dox ci seen biir di civil society yi seen jàppalante ak ñun.
I would like also to thank a few people who have been with me throughout.
dana am nag yenn nit yoo xam ne nii dana leen tudd ñoo xam ne nii dana leen gërëm ci waxtu wi nga xam ne ñu ngi woon ak ñun. Aliou Tine.
Sidi
Gassama.
Fadel and all the Yanamar group, Fumalat.
Fadel ak Gamayar group ak Fulmalat.
People from the region, all the editors forum across Africa.
ñi nga xam ne ñooy seggkat yi nekk ci penc yi yëpp nekk ci diwaani Afrika.
Sheriff C and Matata especially.
Sheriff C.
They hosted many journalists. They help
dalal ay way taskati xibaar yu bari.
And they help us a lot with South African and other African governments.
dimbale nañu ci South African ak yeneen réewi Afrika ak nguuri Afrika yi.
In Senegal, a lot of support we got from journalists, editors.
ci Sénégal jot nañ ay niwal yu bari ci ay journalistes ak ay editors yi ñuy seggkat yi.
All of them really helped us to get where we are today.
ñu ci bari na dimbale nañ ñu bañ àgg na ci fi nga xam ne nii foofu lañ nekk tey.
Because they also took the work we were doing as their own.
ndax ñoom it jël nañ liggéey bi nga xam ne nii moom lañ doon def ko seen bopp.
Tijan Si and Majambalo will also.
Tijan Si ak Majambalo ñoom itamit dañ daan def na yaatal nag seen dimbal.
For the Gambia, I thank all the lawyers who have been helping journalists.
ci wàlli Gambia nag dal dinaa gërëm lawyer yëpp ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi doon dimbale journalistes yi.
Some have worked on pro bono.
ñenn ñi nag ñu ngi liggéey nañ ci.
And they have been really, really helpful, advising, going to court, helping many of the journalists to.
tey seen dimbal ràññeeku woon na lool di dem ci court yi di dimbale journalistes yi.
I would like to thank them immensely for the risk they took also to work up with us.
danaa leen gërëm bu baax ci ñi jaayee seen bakkan ci ndimbal gi nga xam ne moom lañ ñu doon defal.
I would like to say also that when you do this work, you also need to have people around you who are trustworthy.
waaw de tamit di waxee tamit ne boo defee liggéey da nga am ay nit ñoo xam ne nii ñu am ngóom lañ ñoo xam ne muñ leen daa dimbale.
who are committed.
ñoo xam ne nii am nañ éena ak pas-pas.
And at the end we became family.
mujjeental gi sax ñu nekk benn njaboot.
I would like to thank two sisters particularly.
bëgg naa gërëm nag ñaari sisters ñoo xam ne.
Three in fact.
ñett sax de.
Aisha
Dabo.
She has done a lot of work with all of us.
def na lu bari bari ci liggéey ak ñun.
In terms of the media, social media.
ci wàlli bunti tasekaay xibaar yi ñuy dégg ak yi nga xam ne ñu ngi ci internet bi.
Mobilizing young people and supporting us personally.
di dajale ndaw yi di leen dañu dimbale.
Ndeye Tafa Sose for all her sacrifice.
Ndeye Tafa Sose ci wàkkilum.
And all the support and the work that we've done together.
ak liggéey yi nga xam ne ni daf jëflante nañ ko ak ay ndimbal.
Mrs. Jagne
Ndoye.
For hosting most of the victims of torture in Senegal.
ci nim dalale woon nag ñu bari ñoo xam ne ni lor woon nañ ci méttital yi ci biir réewi Sénégal.
Without her, it would have been very difficult for some of those victims to get medical support. There are so many people to thank. But I decided to be a little bit gender biased at the last minute. So some of our brothers, they know themselves. We've been together. So there are many people who were with us, and we all did it together. Yeah, on the way forward, I believe that Gambia decided for this important change. And there are a lot of outstanding businesses that we need to complete. We miss the most important, which was our constitution. I do hope that we will have internal mechanisms to revive this important discussion and create platform so that Gambians can talk to each other and find a way of getting this document back to the table. In terms of the media and free expression related reforms, the government committed itself at different levels to reform media laws. Reform committees were set up. Drafts prepared. So we believe that another way of showing commitment is to fast track and adopt those laws so that we can move away from the repressive laws of President Jammeh. I think it's good to have freedom in practice. I prefer to have a legal regime that will protect my freedom so that when I'm in trouble, I know that I have remedy. I do believe that this is a call for the government to finalize the reforms so that we can have a media sector that is governed by laws that are in line with the change. Lastly, but importantly, that's why I put it for the last. The victims. I believe that this country will have to pay specific attention to those whose rights were violated. Ensure that reparations, adequate reparation is provided. Ensure that there is political commitment and political will to support those victims. And do everything possible to ensure that the memories and all the necessary steps are taken for the Gambia to remember that 22 years of Yahya Jammeh was synonymous of human rights violation, and every Gambian will see that across the country in different signs, in different symbols, so that the slogan that is ours, never again, will be a collective slogan.
ak itamit ci taxawaay ne nguur gi ak ñeneen nit ñi li nga xam ne nii moo nekk pour mu jëm kanam te itamit bu boobaa lii di suñ bàkk ne never again mooy ne du fi amaat mu mën a taxaw.
Not only a slogan, but it will be a culture for us to fight impunity and to embrace justice and inclusivity.
du nekk rek sax bàkk rek de waaye dana nekk loo xam ne nii dana dëppoog suñu aada ñu gis ne itamit nag lii nga xam ne nii mooy def lu ñaaw. I pray
that this country keeps united, because it's only united that we can make the difference. Also, we need to remember from time to time and be grateful to those who sacrifice their lives. I'm not talking about only the Gambians, but also our neighbors and our friends. It's important that we always have this in mind. A country like a person should also always be grateful. Gratefulness is very important.
Legi tamit nak baax na it ñuy fateleku ak tamit di doylo jéego yi nga xamné ni ay nit jël nañ ko mo xam nak be seen bakkan desi mo xam ne nekkul rek fi ci réew mi de waye suñu dëkkandoor yi ak ñeneen ñi nga xamné ni daldi won nañ ci japp.
Our relationship with Senegal should be a win-win.
Suñ jokko ak Senegal nak dafa wara nekk lo xamné ni ngañ ma ñaari boor yeb la.
We cannot go without them. They cannot go without us. So we need to find a way of working together and ensure that there is mutual respect, but also we remember the sacrifices of either their soldiers, their other actors, to helping Gambia to get out of the difficulties we found ourselves in the past.
Kitamen nak gis tamen nak li nga xamné ni moy seen soldat ak seen lepp lo xamné ni jëfo nañ ko rek pour ñu momat suñ bop.
I wanted to insist on that because I do believe that we have a lot to learn from our own community, but we have also to gain by being more open as a country, but also ensuring that we know who our friends are.
Dama bëgg gëna dinga ci lolu pour nak ñu gëna mëna wëral xami tamen ñi nga xamné ni ñoo nekk suñu xali ak suñu andandor.
Thank you.
Jërëjëf.
Thank you very much, Madam Senghore, for those very wise concluding remarks. Your last point reminds me of an encounter an encounter with your namesake, Leopold Senghore. We met in Geneva in 1981. And I thought the biggest compliment any Senegalese can pay to a Gambian was what came from President Senghore. We here. There was a big reception for him in Geneva. He had come there to do a week of television conversation, recording that. And we stood on the line to go greet him. And when I got to him, I shook hands. I said, "Hello, Mr. President." He said, "Hello," and then he said, "Where are you from?" I said to him, "I'm from the Gambia." Oh, he stopped quickly and said, in the accent that he uses, or he had when speaking Wolof with a French accent. He said to me, "Yo suma mbokanga." So when he said that, we shook hands again, and he held my hand so tight, and I thought that was a great thing for Senegalese to say that, especially Senghore, to say that to Gambian. He saw me as just a brother of his. I endorse your remarks and then thank you enormously for coming to testify before us. Council, you have some submissions to make before we conclude our work.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The statement by the witness, I wish to tender it as Exhibit 223, and then the articles we had discussed will be 223A to D.
A through?
D.
T?
D.
Oh, D as in David.
As in Delta, yes.
Thank you very much. Well, that brings us to the end of our proceedings are for today, and for the week also. We will resume Monday morning, 10 o'clock.